Chapter 39 Battle Royale. All the 28 participants were in the arena, listening to the rules of the match said by Viarmo on his platform. The rules were simple. First, the weapon used will be dulled and presented by the arena. Second, the spells used must not exceed the apprentice-level spells. Third, don't use a special power like the Thursday for example. And one can be considered out of the match as long as Hiyashi was thrown out of the arena and their feet touched the ground. Even if Hiyashi lost consciousness and woke up again, they can continue fighting as long as they were in. Violators will not be rewarded and will be kicked out. These rules were for the safety of the participants. The arena was also surrounded by a lot of healers just in case. This year's tournament has many good seedlings, and none of the big shots wanted to lose any of them in a meaningless fight. As everyone chose their weapons from the weapons presented by the arena, the only ones who didn't move to choose weapons were Rusning and John. Many foresaw this, and it wasn't strange. Rusning was a mage, and even though he wasn't bad with weapons, he wouldn't go out of his way to use them. John, on the other hand, was going to be a headache. Even if he didn't use a weapon, he can use barehanded martial art that no one can predict its movements, and he can use magic. He wasn't going out of his ways either. Some of the participants, on the other hand, couldn't find a weapons they fancy and had to use the best ones available they can use. After a minute or two, the 28 were on the arena looking at each other with silence. Even friends distanced themselves from each other. This was going to be bloody, and they were getting ready for it. Unlike John and Rusning, who just finished the team duels yesterday, the other teams were already getting ready for this event for days. Most of them were already having strategies to deal with the strong players. Even though it is shameful in this match, some alliances were made between many participants. The judge surveyed the arena and the players, as he made sure everything was in place and no one has smuggled a sharp weapon in. He could signal that all was ready. In the VIP area, High King Torg saw that the people around the arena can wait no more and were jumping around like a bunch of baboons, so he ordered to haste things up. In the arena, John was being targeted by many participants now. He was known to be the ultimate victor, even if he didn't do well in this match. His overall score was just that good, and this round in the tournament didn't mean much in the score, as the point of it was to prove one's bravery by facing many opponents at once. As Viarmo announced the start of the round, John's right foot was already in someone's face. Most of the opponents would take time to look at each other and intimidate one another, but John was going hot on heels and started kicking people. Sooner than the anticipated wait, everyone started fighting, and it turned hectic very soon. This was John's doing. The situation was getting out of hand very quickly. John wanted to end the match quickly, as he was already on a schedule, and wanted to make spare time to perfect his upcoming plan. He moved between the opponent and started kicking and punching while avoiding most of the hits that caused him to pull the aggro of many participants, and he was being chased by Ongium Scarmouth and 3 other goons. As he saw that, he activated the Long Stride spell, and his body was enveloped in green light and started to run like mad. His speed was doubled due to the spell, and shook of who came after him. He was not out of the woods, yet as Rusning noticed him and started throwing firebolts at him. As John could locate him, he fired back some firebolts himself and positioned himself away from Rusning. This move changed the scenario of the match as Rusning and John were on the sides, while everyone was caught in the crossfire between them. Some participants started falling after this. The casting speed of the 2 mages was high, and their magica regeneration was not that bad, as they were dressed in enchanted gear. On another side of the arena, Vilkas and Farkas were fighting back-to-back. They were brothers, so that was expected of them. Another side has Lydia facing Arger alone, and no one disturbed their showdown. Yet they were avoiding the firebolts that were thrown at them from time to time. Ralof was still using his charging attacks on people and pushed many of them out. Ongium was getting cornered by 3 opponents on his own, but he was fending them off well as he found 2 axes that suited his style. The match was going well for these 8. After a few minutes, the crowd was cheering like crazy, and also bets were made. As most of the participants were out of the arena, the remaining ones were the 8 that was mentioned earlier. Farkas and Vilkas picked on John, Lydia and Arger were still fighting, and it was not going anywhere. Ralof and Ongium were having some sort of marathon competition against each other, as it looked like they were running more than fighting. Rusning, however, was thinning his own presence to regain his breath and some of his magicka. John was having a hard time against the two brothers. He never faced Vilkas before, but it seemed he was a very cunning opponent, as he seemed to have analyzed all of John's move and was faring good against him. He even used his brother as a meat shield sometimes, as Farkas was much physically superior to Vilkas. John had to be more creative with these two. He tried so many times, but one always avoided as the other attacked. Chances came and went, and even John, who was cornered at the side of the arena, could finally see one. His main goal was to take Vilkas down, and Farkas would be less threat. Farkas was retreating with a big step, and John didn't let that opportunity go. He jumped and stomped at Farkas's hip with a foot, and the other landed on his face, just as Vilkas was advancing to save his brother. John used the kick on Farkas's face as a footing, and his other leg kicked at Vilkas's head. Vilkas took the hit perfectly, and his head was launched, taking the rest of his body out of the arena. The people cheered after they saw that. John, who was still landing, had no way to control his body now, and it seemed that Farkas has taken advantage of the situation and kicked a straight kick at John. John was still cornered at the side of the arena, and that kick launched him out of the arena. Disappointed as they were, the people didn't want to see John out of the arena that early, but their disappointment didn't last long either, as they saw the way John landed outside the arena. The rules were, if someone went out of the arena and his feet touched the ground, that would mean he is out of the match. Yet when John landed out, he tried his best to keep his legs up in the air and stood on his hands. This made a lot of people to stand up and cheer. A creative way is a creative way, no matter how many people said about it. As Farkas saw this, he knew that John would try to return to the arena on his hands. This made him smile and center himself at the way of John on the edge of the arena to prevent John from going back. Just as he was doing that, a firebolt flew towards him from the back, and he was completely open and unprepared for it. He staggered out of the arena and looked back. Rusning was smiling and shrugging his shoulders. Rusning wasn't saving John. He was aiming for him too, and just as he pushed Farkas out, he fired a barrage of firebolts again at John. John, who was on his hand, cursed and tried to dodge. He was lucky Rusning was far, so his aim was a bit off, yet Rusning was getting nearer. John pushed with his hands as much as he could and could land his feet in the arena, but Rusning was closer now, and his casting rate reached its apex. John was dodging left and right before even standing yet. The people started clapping when John landed his feet on the arena. As he was doing that, he spotted a shield on the ground and jumped to take it. John wasn't going to use the shield to guard himself. As he held it, he rotated his body and threw the shield at Rusning like a frisbee. Rusning was shocked and tried to make a matrix dodge, yet he fell on his, but the shield flew and hit the head of the unlucky Ongium, who was fighting Ralof behind Rusning. The shield made a perfect hit on the back of Ongium's neck, which made him black out. Ralof took the chance and carried Ongium, then ran towards the side of the arena to throw him out. Suddenly, the power returned back to Ongium, and he clinched on Ralof when he was falling, pulling him with him. The two went outside the arena together. John wasn't even looking at them as he jumped on Rusning and knocked him out, throwing him outside the arena and looking back to see who was left. To no surprise, Arger has just defeated Lydia and kicked her out of the arena. Now the only two remained were John and Arger. The crowd was hyped after the last two faced each other. John and Arger were not smiling, however. They were tired and out of breath by now. Arger didn't wait for John to catch his breath and attacked. Slash, stab. John, who was not armed, could only dodge these fast attacks. Arger kept draining himself and attacked faster. He could injure John few times. John was counterattacking with lightning bolt spells on close range, but his aim was off due to the fast attacks of Arger. Finally, Arger made a mistake and stabbed slower than his usual as his body also leaned more forward. John took the chance and attacked Arger hand with his own hand, kicked him in his unguarded area in his armor, headlocked him, and performed a drape drop takedown DDT. Arger, who was already out of breath, didn't last after this combo and went to dreamland. John, however, was panting for breath beside the fallen Arger and barely stood up after it while the crowd was cheering. He pulled Arger and pushed him out the arena, then sat on it breathing hard. Viarmo stood up from his chair and announced the winner as John of the White Wolves. Wolfer and Battleborn ran down from the crowd and ran to John, holding him up and bringing the potions to him. All the healers started taking care of the after-match first aid. Lucky enough, no one died this year. The VIPs started coming down to the arena after the participants were fixed up and stood behind High King Torig. The participants were brought, and few words of encouragement were said. They were all going to be rewarded as it seemed, of course, nothing close to the reward of the victor. A grand party will be held to celebrate the tournament and hand the rewards right after this. The chapter is meh. Uneasy face. I know, I'm a bit out of ideas for this chapter anyway. Vote news. Torig's survival vote. 30 vote to save, 16 not save. The vote will remain until the story reaches it. Renaming the novel vote. Skyrim. Origins of the Dragonborn. 3 votes. Skyrim. Origins of the Lost. 13 vote. Skyrim. Dragonborn Within. 28 vote. The last day of the vote is tomorrow. Chapter 40. Meet Your Crazy Uncle. Bonus chapter, everybody. March 3rd this week, thank goodness. That was Harry. I swear I won't participate in this madness ever again. That's it. I am done. Don't call me up when this happens again. Why would they make a meaningless match like that? Will it be alright if anyone went to Sovngarde this young? Nords. All they care about is music, fighting, and mead. These people need to learn how to chill. They actually do chill like that. We were now invited to a banquet in the garden of the Blue Palace, and it's all mead and bards. After the fight, we were told to come to the Blue Palace like this. We could get healing in the arena, but the food and mead will be presented in the palace. Won't we need to dress or anything? I asked, but Arger shook his head and said, when Nords die, they go to Sovngarde with the gear they died with. What is more honorable than being in your battle gear? He said, I never took you for the hardcore Nord and Sovngarde type. I looked at Arger and said, this guy didn't give that vibe at all. The traditions are deep in solitude. Even though we're not like Windhelm, we are the capital, and we have to be more careful with the traditions. He said, buffing his chest while holding his head. How is your head, by the way? I asked while grinning. I don't know. That move of yours made my head feel like being hit by a giant. He said, this guy is having his hard time after the DDT he took. Let's leave him for now. I walked away from Arger and joined with Rusning and his team. When will we be leaving? I asked. Didn't the servants take your stuff already? We will set sail at first light. He said, but we will spend the night in the ship. Good time plan. Suits my other plan. Did you get a good place like I asked? I asked. The ship is mostly empty. You can have as many places as you want. But who will be coming with you? He asked. I didn't think of cover to that. My servant. I thought fast and said while moving my face away. Rusning was taken aback, but didn't say anything. On the side of that team, Faralda was making a grumpy face. I asked Rusning what's wrong with her. She said that too many Nords in one place gives her headache. Rusning said, that's racist. I retorted, Hyle's normally like that, so all that Rusning could do was just to smile wryly. Never mind that now. Food was one of the most important things I came here for. In the garden, there were many tables under sheds, and a lot of food was served on them. I ate my fill from the venison meat. It was cooked really well, and it was everywhere. How many deer did these guys kill? Some of the plates had mammoth steak. This thing was hard, but it was very delicious too. Back in my old world, there were no mammoths. I couldn't help but think that I am the first Egyptian ever to eat a mammoth. All in all, the Nordic cuisine was not that fancy, yet it had many dishes that focused on resisting the cold and being healthy. I didn't do any otherworldly cuisine, even though I recreated some food. Still, I couldn't make any progress. I was researching how to make noodles, and also was looking around for rice. I heard that there is rice in Cyrodiil, but sadly, Skyrim doesn't import it. Thinking about food this and food that, a servant came and told me that I was requested to come to the big table in the shade of the castle. There were fewer people there, These guys were the Jarls and the other big shots from the VIP, as well as Ireland Greymane and other representatives of the clans all over Skyrim. I went there and heard someone saying, "Here he comes, ha!" It was High King Torrig. He was smiling at me and calling for me to come. People started gathering, and the area became quiet. Torrig stood up. This tournament was an exciting one, and we could see many young heroes and know their names. The one shown brighter, however, was the victor. The fights this year between the junior warriors opened the eyes of many people to many things. Torrig kept saying to many stuff that I didn't care about until he reached the end. After saying all that, I hope I didn't make your heads heavier. Now, let's give these guys their rewards. As he said that, some servants brought up small and big chests. The first few participants were rewarded according to their achievements. After some time, my turn came, and I stepped forward followed by my team, Wulfur and Battleborn, who were dressed well and all. As we were in front of the king and Jarls, 5 weapons were put in front of me. You and your team may choose a weapon each. An old man stood next to a table that has 5 weapons on it, said that. There was a saber, a bastard sword, an axe, a mace, and a war hammer. They somehow looked like the weapons from the game, yet the design was different. These were the designs of a Midian-born wolf armor and Skyforge weapons mod. Pretty impressive in real life. I was the first to pick, but when I looked at Wulfur, I could read his mind. So I picked the saber. That choice of mine made some people surprised. I wanted the saber for a few reasons. First, I was going to use more magic from now on, and I wanted a weapon that suits the use of one hand more than just a bastard sword that will need more force to control. The second reason was Wulfur. I could feel he wanted the warhammer. He always used warhammers better than me anyway. My only interest in big weapons came from my interest in fighting big opponents in the future, yet I thought that I don't need to concern myself with that now. Wulfur looked at me surprised by my choice. I looked at him and said, "What? Didn't you always want a Skyforge warhammer?" He asked. I looked at him strangely to continue my act, then smiled. "Forged by you, brother," and said that. Besides that, the one I have right now is pretty good. I looked away after that, but I was pretty sure he was looking at me and thinking that I am an idiot. Never mind that now. After I chose the saber, Battleborn went ahead and took the sword. "Young John, so you finally took the blade you wanted?" The old man who stood behind the weapon said. "Aye, Uncle Ireland. I'm a man of my word, and I said I will own a Skyforge sword once." Battleborn grinned and said, "I will finish studying at the college for 2 years, and I will be coming home." "You know what for?" "Haha, let's see if you are a man of your word that time." The old man, who appeared to be Ireland Greymane, laughed at John Battleborn. As Battleborn picked the sword and Wulfur picked the warhammer, we received a paper that carried the seal of the High King. I can cash the reward by this paper from any official treasury in Skyrim. This paper will remain with me, and our gainings from the gamblings will go to Wulfur and Sviti. They were almost the same amount. The party continued for some time after that, and Faralda sent Rusning to tell me to be ready for leaving. Taking my leave from the big shots who were swarming me, I followed Rusning out. Back at the inn, I finished preparing my chest, which will be taken with me. It had my clothes and some money, as well as my important stuff like the notes and all that. There was much other stuff, yet they were stored into crates and were taken to the ship yesterday. Taking the books, I left lying around back to the chest, and making everything into order, I finally had nothing left in the room. I carried the chest down and handed it to one of the college's servants that will take it to the ship. On me was a bag that had some stuff I will be needing this night. This night was the night after all. I was dressed in the casual clothes that I bought from Radiant Raiments and returned to my casual dandy self. "So, I'll be seeing you 2 years from now." I looked at Sviti, who started crying. She held her fox with her and looked like a girl who was being abandoned. "Hey, I'm feeling like a bad guy now." I patted her head, then left out. Wulfur and Battleborn were outside the inn talking with Rusning and his group. As they saw me getting out of the inn, they looked at me. "I'll be leaving you guys now," I said. "Don't get into prison like last time I left you." "Bah, look how shameless he can be. You were the one who left and went to the bathhouse that day." Battleborn was annoyed. "Hee hee, next time I'll be seeing you in Whiterun. You should make a grand celebration for your brother's arrival. I said, I'll be making a celebration and all, but it will be my wedding. He said with a grin, and you big man, I'll see you in a year. But what will you do in that year? I asked. The Legion was recruiting blacksmiths. I made a deal to work for a year. They pay much better here, rift in here. He said, the Legion, huh? Just don't do anything stupid like getting recruited or anything. I said as I was still skeptical about the future event. Don't worry. The workshop is right at the end of the shopping district, so I won't be seeing any action. He said, uh-huh, so that's how it is. This blacksmith on the other side of the pet shop. I couldn't help but grin at Wolfer and remind him of the bear he will have to raise. After conversing for a while, Faralda made her appearance and told everyone to hurry up and leave. I said my farewells and went behind the college group. The Dock of Solitude is a big place and held a lot of ships. I was not amazed as I've seen it before. What amazed me was Scotty's appearance in the docks. She was coming down from a ship, and her red hair was fluttering with the wind, which gave her a very cool appearance. Another man followed her. He was a giant among men, and his long hair was all red and had a big beard. Ah, look who it is. Come here, young John. Who was following the college people, got called by Scotty. W met Scotty. I said with a plain face. See this man here? This is my eldest brother, Jord. She said, this boy is the one Hilda talked about. The man looked at me with some scary eyes. He was a giant, and true giant among giants would tremble from that look in his eyes. What's wrong with this guy? Scotty said that's her brother. Then shouldn't he be my uncle or anything? He had the same features as me too, red hair and blue eyes, yet his eyes were so damn scary. He raised his left hand. He raised it high. I could see his hand reaching heaven, and now it was falling. The hell is that? Is he planning to kill me? Moreover, shouldn't my body move in emergencies like these? Why is it not moving? His hand was getting closer, and it was targeting my right shoulder. My poor right shoulder. Goodbye. It was good knowing you, right shoulder. I'll continue this journey without you. His palm fell on my shoulder. Please didn't kill me, please didn't kill me, please didn't kill me, please didn't kill me, please didn't kill me. I could feel my imaginary HP bar being drained like crazy. Yet I was still standing. I endured. Skinny, the man said. You are the large one. Scotty said. Besides, he won the tourney, you know. If a youngster from our clan couldn't win this so-called tournament, then the elders will disown them. And George said. He held tighter on my poor right shoulder. I could already see that. What does that clan feed you to grow this big, anyway? Just let him go, Scotty said, and pushed his arm away from me. Sorry about this, John. This guy is the one who controls the ship's business in our clan, so he's a bit of a pirate. Haha. More like a Poseidon incarnation. Davy Jones will pay tribute to this man if they cross path. Fine, boy. We'll be seeing you in a year. Grow taller a bit if you want to survive the ceremony. George said as he left towards the city. He'll be just fine. Scotty glared at him. Don't worry about him. He is normally like that. I massaged my shoulder and looked at her and mumbled, I am more worried about Wolfer now. Scotty opened her eyes wide and said, crap. Then she ran in the direction where George disappeared. Well, whatever it is, good luck, Wolfer. I am bailing out from this one. It seems that I have a crazy family in this life. Let's hope this crazy uncle doesn't kill Wolfer with a thunderpad. Now, let's return to reality. We have a night operation now. Chapter 41, Prison Break. According to the vote, we changed the name of the novel from SBTI Skyrim, but that's too immersive to SDW Skyrim, Dragonborn Within. I hope we didn't make the wrong decision. Star. As I started thinking of tonight's operation, my mood returned to the way it should be. As I returned to the group of the college after saying hey to Scotty and the newly appeared uncle, Jord. Svedal, one of the other 3 male members of the college's team, started chatting nonstop with me. This guy is too friendly as it seemed. After walking to the end of the docks, we arrived at a beautiful ship. How can a ship be beautiful, you ask? Well, I don't know. It just looked very beautiful to me. It was how a ship was supposed to look like, not whatever that sorry excuse of a ship that appeared in the game. These ships were the same models from DK's realistic and lore-friendly Nord ships mod, something you can just only look at and admire. The Nordic ships have their unique appearance, as Nords were the best-known sailors in this world. Their ships resembled the Viking longboats from my past world with the dragon figurehead that made them stand out. They were also vast and has a very close structure to the ships from the Georgian era, yet their theme was Nordic. The ship in front of me was called the Icicle. It has a glowing white sail that stood out with the insignia of the college drawn on it. I boarded the ship and got a good cabin under the deck. It has a bed, some simple furniture, and my chest that was delivered here. It would be my room for the next few days. I made sure everything in place and went back to the docks. The ship will sail at first light, so I had a lot of time. I headed to the East Empire Company office and made sure that Gulamei is in his place and was busy. The same could be said for Mikolo the barber after checking the bathhouse. I guess I should move now. I headed towards the docks again, yet I passed it and passed the bridge. I could detect one around the area, except for some weird-looking owl. I went to the place I dug at the end of the sewer tunnel. I hid that place with bushes, and it seemed it was as it is. Now let's head into solitude. As I was walking through the sewer, I cast candlelight spell and walked according to my map. I also started thinking for the last time about my plan. As I sneak, I mostly rely on the protection of the Shadow Stone. The Shadow Stone is one of the 13 standing stones Skyrim. They give their protection to the ones born under their stars. I was raised in the orphanage, so I didn't know which stars I was born under. In another meaning, I was a sad soul who doesn't have a birthday. Yet I gained the protection of the Shadow Stone. It was a desperate try, yet my luck was amazing. The Shadow Stone is very close to Rift In, and as one of 13 stones, I guess I was lucky. This also meant I was born under the stars of the Shadow, which also meant I was born in the month of second seed May. Brynjolf, who took me to the stone that day, was very glad I was born under the Shadow. He told me it is one of the best stars for both thieves and assassins. According to the mod Andromeda that altered the effects of the standing stones in Skyrim, the Shadow Stone gives 2 powers. The first was Blur, which adds 20% speed to the in combat, and it was a power which I used and abused this power a lot. The second was Hide in Shadows, which makes sneaking much easier under the shade or in darkness. It didn't end just here. There is another power called Shadow Step. It allows the one under the shadow's protection to rush silently at a target within 75 feet without being detected. This power, however, is obtainable after a certain quest. What woke me from my deep thinking was the smell of the sewers that stink. As usual, I was in a hurry to go back to the city and open a sewer manhole in the place I marked on my map. As I got there, the city looked quieter than the time I left. This was the middle of the night after all, and by the position of the moon, 1 hour was left until dawn. I was under my black cloak, and thankfully, no one would mind my appearance anyway. There were others like me as usual. As I got closer to Castle Daurside entrance, I had to walk quietly now. I got away from any light source and started sneaking to the empty marketplace. My target was the window. I had prepared a flask of a highly flammable and violent incendiary bomb and started aiming it at a certain window in the castle. Suddenly, the side door of the castle opened. I was afraid to get spotted, so I hid behind a barrel. I tried to sneak a peek and see who was coming out of the castle this late. I couldn't believe what my eyes saw. Those were Scotty and George speaking, with Captain Aldous at the gate. What are they doing here? I could barely calm my heart and breath to return to my sneaking mode again. Time passed slowly, and they finally got away. I could feel some eyes prying on me, though. It was that annoying owl from before standing on some roof above me. I couldn't afford to alert anyone, so I kept myself hidden until I could notice no Magicka reaction with my Detect Magicka spell. Now, if we excluded that owl, I am totally alone. I prepared the flask again and aimed it to the window. Then I used a good amount of power to throw it. It landed in perfectly. The fire grew quickly, and some bomb sound stated, so, sounding from the castle, the plan is going just perfect. Now, let's run back to the sewer. Time is running out. Back to the sewer, I headed directly to the tunnel under the castle. The smell of smoke finally came from it. This meant all bomb flasks had made their effect. Yet that assassin girl was not yet out, damn it. I can go bring her just fine. Taking the corridor to the prison, I could hear the sound of people coughing loudly. They won't die, as long as the fire doesn't catch them. Some people were shouting about the fire and running everywhere as I could feel them behind the wall. These were the guards, I guess. Moving on to the girl's cell, I could feel her presence. She was not moving, though. This damn girl knew what time she had to break the wall in, yet she was just lying there. Why am I risking my ass for right now, huh? I had to remove the bricks to check on her quietly myself. I could see her lying in the dark. Was she sleeping now of all times? As I removed them brick by brick, the fire started to extend and illuminate the room. But why did this happen? Who did that to her? I told them not to torture her, but this was a bit unneeded. She is breathing. She looked like a bloody rag, but she was still breathing and mumbling something. Damn it. I have to hurry. I must not be seen while I take her out. My hands worked like lightning, and I could reopen the hole in the wall quickly and enter the cell. Hey, do you hear me? I whispered to the girl, who opened her right eye widely. The left was blinded a long time ago and was already swollen from torture now. Please, that was all she said. She was in no shape to move. I can carry her slowly on my back and move her through the hole. I closed the hole faster than I opened it and carried the girl on my back, then ran to the corridor again. From it to the sewers, I now could cast candlelight to see how much the girl was hurt. This was bad, really bad. I brought some potions just in case, but this was hard to control now. Kill me, she mumbled. I can only ignore her now. The man, she was still mumbling, but I was not in the right mood to listen to her. He made me cough, made me talk. I don't care now, just drink this. I brought a watered stamina potion to her mouth and sipped it slowly. I cast healing hands on her. She was responding to the treatment as her breathing started to be faster. After that, I poured a health potion on her wounds. This was effective but a bit painful. It supported the spell I was casting. Turning to my bag, I took out your most plain black robe from the games with some shoes and a hood scarf. She was not moving anytime soon, so I was going to do the dressing. Bounding a dagger with magic, I started cutting the rags on her. Surprisingly, she hid the journal of hers into her clothes, so I stored it away. Anyway, she was stark naked right now, but who cares? I could use these rags as bandages and dressed her in the clothes I brought up. The girl started to look healthier than before, and as I helped her up, she stood to lean on me. Please kill me, she said. I told them everything I know. What exactly did you tell? I asked while taking her from this place. I told them everything, and she started speaking about what happened. Apparently, Jord and Scotty were just giving her a visit. Jord made her talk about everything she knew, from who ordered the hit on me and everything else. She didn't know much about the core members in the Brotherhood, so she told them about the hideout in Solitude. This girl was now considered a traitor to the Brotherhood, and in their creed, she must be killed. I don't care about any of that now. I could reach the end of the tunnel and carry the girl on my back and ran to the ship. Yet seriously now, how many owls in this night must I deal with? This is so unlucky, damn it. Owls are a sign of bad omen to most Egyptians. Away from John, who was carrying Mabia and running to the docks, Jord and Scotty were running back to see why was there fire in the castle. Captain Aldous went out and told them that there were fire and the assassin girl escaped. They didn't appear to care and left him with thanks. Hee. So we were here earlier than them. Let them take her. Unless they have a healer, that girl is as good as dead. Jord was smiling. To assault our dear little nephew. I was going to kill her the minute I saw her ugly face. Scotty was speaking like a beast too, not showing her motherly side at all. But to think it was the Blackbriars, these people are really tired of living. Jord said, I'll see how will they deal with it this time. While the two beast-like brother and sister were talking to each other, another figure appeared. You two are up to no good again. A tall and thin man with a hood on his head and a bow on his back came out of the shadow. He had the same red hair and blue eyes like the siblings. Forseti, so you came out of the ship. Scotty looked at the man and spoke to him. I was bored and Jack saw something going on, so he came and whispered to me. As Forseti said that, an owl flew and landed on his shoulder. Oh, let's hear it, brother. Njord, who was in a good mood, asked with interest. Forsetti approached, and the light fell on his face. He was much more handsome than his brother Njord. It appears we have a naughty, naughty nephew. According to the vote, we changed the name of the novel from SBTI Skyrim, but that's too immersive to SDW Skyrim, Dragonborn Within. I hope we didn't make the wrong decision. Chapter 42, Onto the Icicle. I ran with the girl on my back and avoided every eye that can see us. I stuck to the shadow and sneaked around every corner until I reached the ship. Svedal and Rusning were on the deck, drinking together, and when they saw a figure board onto the ship, they stood up and faced me. Other sailors took notice and also looked at me. "It's me," I said and removed my hood. "What? What did you get out?" Rusning said. "The servant I mentioned was a bit late, and I went back to pick her up." I said, "Sorry, I somewhat was in a rush." "Oh, is she the one on your back? What happened?" Svedal asked and pointed out. "I found her in an alleyway. Someone must have mugged her. Is there a healer here?" I asked. "What a dull question. I'll go call for Holman. Take her to your cabin. It is cold out here." Rusning said. I thanked him and hurried to the cabin. As I put the girl on the bed and continued casting healing on her, Holman arrived after a minute. "Mara's mercy. Who did that to her?" He was shocked by what he saw. Holman looked like an honest fellow with a black hair and an early facial hair. He was 3 years older than me. "I don't know. She was supposed to buy me things from the market, but I found her in an alleyway like this when I went to look for her. I made up a story I already thought of. By the 9, can a girl walk safely alone these days? What happened to the world?" Jolma magically appeared from the door, followed in, and made a sad face. I made up a few things and assured them I also had to stay beside the girl for a while before we could leave the room for her to rest. As we were getting out, I took out her journal and put it beside her. Can't afford to let her go crazy again. I went out of the ship with the excuse of thanking someone who helped me getting Jellinar to the ship. Jellinar was the name I told him as the name for this girl. I didn't know her real name and made up a name from my past life. Jellinar is a Persian name which meant pomegranate flower. Shame. The name was just wasted on an assassin who tried to kill me. As I got away from the ship, I headed to the East Empire Company. I could see Gulamii was talking with someone there. "Hey," I said and acted as if in a bad mood. Gulamii looked at me, then nodded. Then he talked the man away. "This was flashy," he said. "The deed was done, didn't it?" I said. "Overdone in my opinion." He said. "What? Does the guild in Solitude pay up for the damage they cause?" I said with a mocking smile. No, don't get me wrong." Gulamii raised his hands and turned meek. "When I got the message from Delvin that you were a daredevil, I really didn't take it too seriously. Glad to see old Delvin still has an eye for good people. It's all good and fine, but my ship is going to sail." I said, You want your money. Here. Gulamii gave me a purse and said, "It was a pleasure doing business with you." I didn't say anything to the lizard and turned my back. He stinks. Back to the ship. I stayed in the cabin with the passed-out girl. Her temperature started rising, so I started brewing an herbal remedy to resist fever for her. Damn this Njord. How many times did he pat her? My shoulder is itching when I thought about that. I went outside the room after nursing her for a while. I also cast Heal Other on her. This was a depth-level healing spell that I didn't master it very well, yet it got cast by luck. As I was out of the cabin, I could feel the ship shaking. So it was moving. It is my first time to be on a ship, so I wanted to take a look at the deck. As I went out, I saw many sailors moving around under the order of an elderly man, and the boys from the team were sitting on a crate and talking to each other. I had warped myself with some fur before I got out. The weather now was freezing. As I got close to the boys, they noticed me and emptied a seat. "So, how is the girl?" Holman asked. "She is fine. I brewed her something for the fever that will keep her sleeping for a while." I replied. "Good man, here, something to warm you up," he said and gave me something. It smelled like milk with some seeds in it. "What is that?" I asked. "Don't know," Svedal said. "The sailors made it, and they give us when we ask." I tried it, and it wasn't bad, yet had no flavor. I could feel alcohol in it, though. The ship started to move as the lights started to shine. The scenery was great. On the left of the ship was the docks and Solitude. On the right was the great marshes of Jalmarch. Ahead of us was the big rock of Solitude. Did you guys hear about this? A fire broke into the castle after we left. Svidal started chatting again, so the news reached here. I still can see some smoke over Solitude from here too. The ship passed under Solitude and continued sailing with Karth River. The sun started rising, yet it was not getting any warmer. This is the Sea of Ghosts for you lads. It can make you shiver to the soul. The elderly man who was giving commands to the sailors earlier came close to us and talked. Rusning and the rest stood up, so I tagged along and stood up as well. This weather is nothing to a Nord, Captain. Rusning said, we want to introduce you to our new friend here. This is John. He won the tournament and will be the new addition to the college. We got ourselves a champion, eh? I see. Good lad, strong arms, broad shoulders. You'd make for a good sailor. If you were a bit taller, I would have mistaken you for one of them fire manies. The captain said, name's Geldof, and they call me Smiling Hull, like the ship lad. This man said a lot of things, but wait a minute, didn't he just say something about the fire manies? Yes, Captain, it's my first time on a ship, and it's quite a nice ship. I said, she lad. The ship is a she. Captain Geldof said. Yes, sorry. But Captain, you just now said something about the fire manies? The fire manies, if you don't know of them, then I don't know if you should or not. That name refers to one of the great clans that don't come into public. No matter how shameful for an old dog like me to admit it, they're the best to sail in a sea or ride in a land. Captain Geldof said, I only thought that you were one of them when I saw your hair and eyes, but you are not as tall, and it would be strange if you board on a ship that is no fire main ship. You ain't one of them, are you, lad? Not that I know of. I am an orphan from Rift Inn. I said, Rift Inn, far from home, ain't you, lad? He said, no wonder it's your first time in a sea. Ever thought about sailing? I nodded. Want to learn? He asked. I would like to. I said I was interested. Hee. Fine, go untie that robe, but remember it well. Never let go of it. Captain Geldof said. I was curious about sailing, actually, as it was something I've never done before, so I went to the robe and held it with my left to its end tightly and rounded around my forearm. With the right hand, I untied the robe. The boys were looking down for some reason, and some other sailors were grinning. I didn't know what was going on, so I continued untying. As I was done with it, I held with the right hand and was ready to hold it tightly, yet the wind started making yard that carried the mainsail change its direction around the mast. This was not the problem right now. The problem is I was getting pulled by the robe and started flying. I don't know how it happened, but I fell on the deck and everyone started laughing at me. This was not nice, you know. The first lesson is Captain Geldof made an appearance over me who was lying on my back saying, never hold that robe alone. If you did, never hold to it. I was in pain from the flight I just took, but I found the strength to stand up while rubbing my back. But you said, I was about to say something, but Captain Geldof interrupted. Learn from the mistakes, lad. As long as they don't kill you, you can learn from them. He said and acted like some whizzy, asterisk. Are you ready for another lesson? He was grinning. Lady Luck is with us this morning. The wind is fair and the sea is easy. A good time to teach youngsters. I looked at him with no power to retort, as long as I am not learning from another mistake. I said, you'll make them without me even tell you, lad. He said, just do this and do that. Captain Geldof started pointing some jobs for me, and he was right. Even without pointing a mistake, I still did them anyway. I started learning about the ship and the sailing process all day long, and I watched documentaries. I somewhat enjoyed learning something I had completely no experience about. Although I played some sailing games in my past life, there was no experience like this. You learn well, lad. These boys didn't even last the first hour. Captain Geldof said, and looked at Rusning, Holman, and Svidal. We are no sailor, old Geldof. We are mages. Svidal retorted. And I am what? A tavern wench? I learned at the college one day like you. Why do you think I work on this ship now? Captain Geldof shouted at Svidal. Svidal didn't retort. Let's see how you fare tomorrow, lad. the captain said, and went away to shout at the sailors. My body is aching. I'm going to my cabin. I said to the boys. Fine, just don't miss dinner. Rusning said, and continued what he was doing. Now that he mentioned it, I'm so damn hungry. Last time I ate was at the banquet in the Blue Palace, and that felt like ages ago now. Fine, I'll head down and wipe my body, then go eat something. As I was thinking about food and stuff like that, I reached the cabin and opened its door. I was also planning to check on the assassin girl, too. I found her sitting on the bed while looking at around. She seemed to have just woke up. Looking good, I said, for someone who was half dead, you somewhat past all the critical stage. The girl looked at me expressionless. You should have left me to die, she said. Damn it. I guess I should start talking that girl into living now. Chapter 43, Julliner. I'm having exams 3 weeks from now, and I am not sure I can do the bonus chapter thing now. I'll keep updating daily until I fix my laptop. I picked up a small round box that contained a bruises healing ointment I bought from Solitude, then sat in front of the girl and started applying it to her face. Not a chance, I said to the girl who wanted to die. How would I torment you if you died? I couldn't help but grin. The Brotherhood won't leave a traitor like me live, she said. I told the Red Man everything. Seems that Njord had done a score on her. Just what did he do to you to make say all that? I couldn't help but ask. She shivered from the question, so I cast calm spell on her. One must know that this girl has a disturbed mentality. So what did he do when you told him what you know? I asked. He just left. He also said that the one who hired me was already dead. She said. Sibby? Yeah, I killed him. I said. You did? She looked and appeared shocked. Do you know what the Blackbriars may do? Yes, but she won't do anything to me. I said. She has already killed most of the thugs in Solitude, though. I pinned the kill on them. The girl was looking at me, surprised by what she heard. So you did, she said. I guess these are good with these sort of stuff. I was done applying the ointment now. So what is your name? I asked. Maybia, she said. Do you still want to die, Maybia? I asked. What choice do I have? She said. The Brotherhood will perform the Black Sacrament if they suspected that I didn't die yet. Oh, so she's worried about that. The Black Sacrament is a dark ritual that can be performed by whoever those who want to contact the Dark Brotherhood. That ritual is a way to contact the Night Mother. The Night Mother, an immortal spirit who is revered and worshipped by the Brotherhood. She is only ever met face-to-face in very exceptional circumstances and is seen as a phantom-like form. When a person prays for the death of another, the Night Mother hears and passes on the details of the prayer to her listener. At this point, the listener informs a speaker, who then goes to meet the hiring party in order to draw up a contract. But still, don't you know? I asked. Know what? She asked. Astrid, your leader, doesn't follow the teachings of the 5 tenets anymore. I said. What nonsense are you saying? How can this be? I've never met the leader, but my mentor told. Maybe a halted. Wait a minute. How do you know of the name of the leader? Hee. Don't you dare look down on how much I know, girl. I know most of the important names in your merry little cult. Viezra, that mentor of yours. Armjorn, the husband of Astrid. I said and started making an act, but everything was true. Your organization has fallen deeper than what you think. The listener, Alazan Dupre, was killed 8 years ago in Bravel, and the coffin of the Night Mother was lost since then. That also was true. These events happen in the game world, yet not the game, Skyrim, itself. The Elder Scrolls, Legends, a card game that told the story of a certain hero who lives in this world right now. This hero walked on a different path than the hero of the Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim, and had his own adventures. One of them was related to the Dark Brotherhood, and he interacted with the big shots from it. He also was the cause of their current decline. Astrid is the leader of the Dark Brotherhood in this day and age. She abandoned the 5 main teachings of the Dark Brotherhood, which were called the 5 Tenets, and converted the group from cultist killers to professional assassins. Hearing this information, maybe it was taken aback by what she heard. That all means that there will be no Black Sacrament on you. I said, and even if there's one, then just live your damn life now and face whatever comes at you later. I finished what I had to say and went away from her. All I care about was a fellow orphan in distress. If she chooses the path of her own demise, then I won't care anymore. This all hard to take in, she said as she looked away. All I ever learned was how to kill. Then just learn how to live. I said, also you write some crazy nice poems, and I bet you can make a good fry pie. What is fry pie? She asked. It's a pie that you present to someone you want to kill. Its main ingredients are her family members. Then you kill her after they eat it. I said, didn't they teach it to you? Fry pie is the pie that Arya Stark made for Walder Frey in Game of Thrones. Maybe you seemed impressed by what she heard and shook her head. Figures, these people became too soft, I said as I was having fun playing with that girl. I stood up and headed to the door. I'll head out to wipe myself, and I'll bring you something to eat. Rest now. Heading out, I went to a cabin that had a tub in it. I took some buckets and filled the tub from the sea. Heating the water with fire magic was a usual practice for mages. Even these sailors learned some spells to do their chores. The tub is a blessing even though the weather outside is freezing. I can now enjoy some nice bath in this dangling ship. As the water is nice and warm, my head started spinning from a thought to an idea. There was much stuff I wanted to do and experience. From this moment onwards, I will focus on magic and become stronger. There is 1 year, and I should master most of the spells I couldn't master yet. Mysticism School, also known as the Old Ways, is one of the main 6 schools, but it's not really supported fully by the College of Winterhold. I need to dig into their famous Arcaneum for more information on it. Arcaneum is the library of the college. During my research, I also plan on understanding more about Conjunction School, create my original style in Destruction School, start taking the Illusion School more seriously, learn all the aspects of physical magic from the Alteration School, and seriously make progress in the Restoration School. I found out all of my shortcomings in this tournament, and I must admit I am worse than I thought. I won this tournament because my physical ability, I'm also not that talented as I thought. Arger's body movements on equal ground are much faster than me. Also, Ongium and Farkas are far stronger than me. My superiority lies in 3 talents I have. The first is that I am very talented in mysticism, even with the lack of spells and knowledge. My practice in mysticism also made my magicka pool larger than most of my peers. The second is about my body, which is very flexible due to my training on my own versions of parkour and MMA. The third is my natural gift in the Thursdayum, one of the reasons I think I am the hero of the game. Adding all that to my knowledge from my past life, it made the person I am today. Damn it, the water got cold. Heat. Just about right. Where was I again? Yes, my qualities. I'm glad I could see through myself this early. I need all the power I can muster, all knowledge is good, and my memory is sharper the better I control and increase my magicka. I remember a lot of knowledge from my past life, which helped me greatly in something like the electromancy. Magic is about understanding the power, and I can make some scientific theories about it. I also remember a lot of stuff I read in the wikis. This is all power I have right now, and I should make use of. Yet too rough. None of it is refined. My time in the orphanage gave me a good head start, and my good luck met me with Nurina. I was lucky to meet her alongside all the people I know. That's right. People, my friends. That's what I need more right now. A lot of friends to stand beside me. Wolfer is guaranteed. He would follow me anywhere even if I asked him not to. John Battleborn is a new brother, but I know his quality doesn't lose to Wolfer. Nurina is more powerful and mysterious than I could fathom. I don't like to be greedy, but I can't let go of her guidance. Hilda and these crazy Firemane folk are my next possible ally. I'll let fate decide this one. The people from the college I met so far are good people, but I need to work on this relationship on my own. This will be one of the tasks at hand. Who else? Her. That girl, maybe. She is alone in this world. She is a fighter too. If I help her, I can make her into a follower of mine. We just need to build trust with each other. Damn it. This water is getting colder without my noticing. Heat. Phew, that was close. Let's stop overthinking for now. I finally can make up some plan for the future. The last thing is the money, but I'll think about that in Winterhold. At least there will be some good ways to earn coin there. Now after this bath, I should get food for Mabia and me. The ship has a big dining cabin, and I could get warm food from there, 2 warm meals for me and Mabia. As I got back to the room, I found that the girl is still sitting on the bed. Sigh, what a helpless creature. I moved my hand to her head and pushed the hood on it away. What appeared was a face of a half-breed girl. She is half Dunmare, half Nord. On the left side of her face are 3 old scratch wounds under her left white blind eye. The right side of her face is actually pretty. Her right eye is hazel, and her skin was a bit bluish. She had the most features of a Dunmare, but her pointy ears are shorter than usual elves, and her face structure is that of a human. Her black hair reminded me of mine from my past life. Her body was not that tall, yet if she stood, she would reach my shoulders. The rest of her body is quite nice. All in all, if we fix that girl's face, she will be a hot little treat. I put a tray in front of her, and she started wolfing it up. I talked to her while eating. I noticed that she had a few screws loose. While I guessed as much, she was brought up on killing after all. After saying this and that, maybe it was not awkward as she felt before and started taking normally. She also told me her story as if nothing, even though it was a tragic one. Apparently, from what I could understand from her, her mother was a Dunmare in Wyndham. There are many refugees there, and Nords treat them like S***T. One day, a Nord raped her mother, and Mabia was the result of the crime. Normally, the Nords wouldn't care, and her mother wouldn't be helped out even by the Dunmare folk, because she decided to raise the daughter. In a society full with racism like Windhelm, a child between a Dunmare and a Nord will be considered some sort of a taboo child. Both races were at each other's throat since the time the refugees started to flee from Morrowind to Windhelm. The mother decided to take her daughter and leave to a more suitable place for her child. Falkreath was her choice. The mother died after they moved out, and she was brought to the orphanage of the Hold. Her unusual appearance caused her to be mistreated, and she escaped to the forest one day. There she was attacked by a lynx in her left. I was wounded before she was saved by an Argonian, who later became her mentor and made her into an assassin. This was a sad story. I do sympathize with her, but the only one who can help her now is herself. This ship is heading to Winterhold. Do you have any plans for yourself from there? I asked. Mabia shook her head. She thought for a while, then said, Do you have a job for me? I can use someone with your set of skills. I said, Won't that bring you bad attention? Mabia asked. You can act as a maidservant, and no one will mind you. I said, So you just want me to do your dirty work in the shadow? She asked. I smiled. I am not really taking advantage of you. I'll give you whatever you wish for as long as I can trust you. Mabia thought for a while. Fine, I don't have any choice left, do I? One last thing, I said. I told them that your name is Jellinar. I think your current name will bring you trouble anyway. MHM. She nodded and asked, Jellinar, what kind of name is that? She asked. It's a name for the pomegranate flower from my past life. I nonchalantly said, Right, past life. She looked away while mumbling. Haha. I laughed and said, Wait until you see dragons. Jellinar looked at me again and said, So I am not the only one who hear voices. I think this is my turn to freak out. Chapter 44, To the College. The next 3 days were similar to one another. I would go help the sailors and learn from Captain Geldof. I don't think it's hard for me to navigation an average longboat now. Still, I need a lot of time to understand how to read the sea and the wind. Putting that in mind, I started using magic to achieve that goal. My Detect Magicka spell can now detect more than just magicka. After a few days of studying in solitude, I made a breakthrough due to my attempts to read the wind and sea. Due to trying to synchronize my detection with the movement of air and sea, I could detect the magicka more accurately between heaven and earth. This is a groundbreaking development on my part. I was so immersed in the feeling of detecting the magicka around that I forgot to sleep one night, which made Jellinar nag about me, giggling in a creepy manner the next morning. By the way, we are still sharing the cabin now. I left the bed for her and borrowed a few furs and a sleeping bag to sleep on the ground. How gentlemanly of me. Back to the topic. My detection became clearer. I could feel the magicka in the emptiness around me. Dead objects didn't seem to have magicka, so they seemed as the void to my detection. Even though my detection can pass through them, some objects are just harder than others in that aspect. Iron blocks magicka, more than wood, for example. Still, I couldn't detect magicka in dead objects. My original goal was to monitor the moment of the air and sea, but I never thought I would reach this level from that idea. The detection spells fall under the categorization of the school of mysticism, and it is like having an eye on the back of the head, very useful indeed. Summing my discoveries in a note, I revised what I wrote now and before about the mysticism after all this research. I can make a rough idea, but mysticism techniques are much more than the manipulation of magicka. It can also reach the point of predicting the future and the understanding of space. More accurately, space and time magic can be manipulated by mysticism. This can open tons of possibilities in my understanding of magic, due to the fictional works I read in my past life, as well as the laws of science I still remember. I can think of millions of applications right now. One thing I also noticed and started to understand greatly was the magicka nature. The magicka in the sea was denser than the air, yet felt more alien and strange. I could only note that and put a big question mark beside it. The detect magicka spell right now was turned into detection spell for general detection of many things. Maybe there is stuff it can't detect yet, but I can already see much more than before with it, so I renamed it this way. I don't even need to use my eyes right now. I can just close my eyes and immerse myself in the emptiness around me with such a spell. Truth be told, I just can't stop my addiction to this wondrous feeling. The good stuff didn't end just here yet. With this breakthrough, I could enhance my magicka training technique now. I used absorb magicka directly on the magicka between heaven and earth after exhausting my magicka pool to train it and increase its capacity. I am better than your average elf mage at dealing with magicka due to this training. My fanboy soul couldn't help but awaken at that moment and renamed the magicka training technique to magicka cultivation, or cultivation for short, to feel like one of these wuxia novels' main characters. This just felt about right. My so-called cultivation was enhanced by my newly developed detection spell, as I could feel the magicka around me more accurately and absorb it in faster than before. This cultivation was not as perfect or fruitful as it was in the Elder Gleam's sanctuary, due to the quality and the nature of the magicka around. I can't just live in the sanctuary to cultivate. I remember that there were many places in the game that had a strong natural element, and I should just find one. These places are mostly protected with the guards of nature, the Spriggans. Mysticism has just too many secrets that I don't think one lifetime can uncover. And as much as how beautiful it can be ugly and demonic. An example for its ugliest sides is the necromancy. Necromancy, which means death magic, is one of my top interests in magic, even though it pushed many of its users to madness. I, as well as Nurina, are interested in it. Finally, I need to understand the old ways, the old spiritual understandings that belong to the school of mysticism. I'll research that for sure. Those who know the old way are well aware of the existence of the spiritual worlds invisible to those who are uneducated in mysticism. Just as one living in a country but unaware of the political undercurrents may see a new tax or war preparation as the caprices of fortune. The old ways can make one see the world on what is it really are, even to the point of understanding the Edric gods and the Daedric evil god, aka Daedra princes. Thinking about this, and that while feeling the sea, I continued to take notes on everything I learned new, from the sailing to the cultivation I made up. This ship was a really peaceful place to research. My notes were, as usual, in my otherworldly native language. This was not uncommon act for a mage. Each mage had his secrets, so they made codes for themselves to cipher, and in my case, my secrets are worth killing for. I took the basics of logical thinking and applied it in every research I made. For example, one needs to learn how to manipulate magicka, aka mysticism arts, before they do applications with it, aka learning spells. For some reason, mages not care about such a simple fact. Also, modern earth knowledge like math and algebra helped me sketch out many spells, as it was something similar to high school level mathematics from my past life. Understanding of the scientific laws is also one of the reasons that make magic much easier to understand and control. Take my lightning magic, for example. As a human from Earth, I interacted more with electricity than fire or frost and have an understanding about it. This is why I was much better in it compared to the other elements. Following that with fire, which I am really good at as it appeared to be due to a bloodline ability from Nurena's explanation. Finally, all Nord mages are really good at frost magic, and I am no exception, but I am not into it very much. If my knowledge goes public, I think mages will go crazy over it. Some might think that if I went public with it, I may not need to worry about money or anything like that. Wrong. Mages are no normal creatures. Maybe Nord mages are good people due to nature, but the others are a greedy bunch. They always spy at each other work, and many times steal from each other. This even happened in the game many times. If someone knew about my magic more, then it's just an enviable natural gift that a great mage like Nurena brought up. I might get killed or abducted in no time. I always remembered that Chinese saying about the man who did nothing wrong to get killed for, but he only owned a jade ring that all people wanted. I don't remember the correct saying. This world is not a dog-eat-dog world like one of those wuxia novels, thank goodness. But things tend to get like this between power holders like mages. They always want the knowledge that others discovered. I am no exception. Not even my past world is an exception. Nations always assassinated each other's nuclear scientists and stole their research. That's all there is to it. My knowledge is my secret weapon. I can only pass it down to those who are loyal to me, to those who deserve risking my life for. Master! Master! A voice woke me up from my deep overthinking. It was Jellinar. I told her to call me that in public, so no one suspects anything, yet she always did it with a scary gaze. I knew she would hate it. Finally awake, huh? You were into one of those deep thinkings of yours again, she said and lowered her voice. It started to creep me out. For a little jolt to get creeped out by me, I am not sure either to feel proud or freak out myself. I said, I actually become very close with her these past few days. She is not as crazy as I thought, at least not a full-time crazy. Her personality changes greatly between night and day. In the daytime, she becomes a tsundere, not my favorite type, but she becomes as moody as cats, somewhat cute in my opinion. In the nighttime, she changes into her crazy, usual self. Kind of mysterious, but I think her mentality is not that stable. She also started to walk yesterday and recovered most of her strength by today. She now goes around all the ship to spend time and reports to me from time to time. I don't care how should you feel that Rusning is looking for you, she said. Okay, thank you, I said, then stood up and went to where Rusning usually sits. As I saw him, I found that Faralda and the rest were there too. Hurry up and get your things, Rusning said. We are at Winterhold. I was taken aback and looked around. Winterhold was at the sea, and I could see nothing that resembles it from the game just yet. Svedal laughed. Don't look around, look up. He pointed at the sky for some reason, and I follow with my eyes. Sweet baby Talos. I couldn't help it. That was too absurdly absurd. Welcome to the college, lad. Captain Geldof came from behind and laughed out, but I paid him no attention. You expressions are priceless, Rusning said and patted my shoulder. What is this? I said while not holding my shock anymore. What I saw was something out of a fairy tale. This is not the College of Winterhold I knew. In the game, the College of Winterhold had the same size as the other castles and palaces in Skyrim. It was a research and education facility created by an ancient and immortal Nord archmage. His name was Shalader. He created this college on an inverted pyramid of rock that juts out of the sea. My theory is that he made that inverted pyramid himself. The building itself was a fortress-like, arranged around a large central courtyard. If we look at this fortress-like college from above, we will see a large circular building surrounding the courtyard, and 3 smaller circles representing the towers on the large circular building. Each center of a tower is 120 degrees apart from the others too. The college's main, largest, and widest tower is the Hall of the Elements, which is used for all kinds of magical practices. It holds the famous Arcaneum Library as well as the Archmage's quarters, while accommodations are provided in the 2 separate towers, the Hall of Attainment for the students and the Hall of Countenance for the teachers. and the staff. This is what I know from the game, and it appears I am not mistaken either. But this building is too large and too high, larger than anything I have ever seen, and its height is scary. I actually thought about it. The difference in size between the game and the real world is big, sometimes 1/10. But the game didn't give the college any justice. The college was something like 100:1 from the game. That inverted pyramid the college stood was very high, that it resembled a tower with a thinner base. Add that to the mist of the sea of ghosts. This college looked like a fortress on the clouds. Wipe that dumb face of yours and go pick your things. Faralda shouted at us. The sun is about to set and you've done nothing. I was woken up by this shout. I guess I was shouted at too. Let's just go pick up things. Running back to the cabin, Jelliner stood beside me waiting for orders. I carry my chest on my back with a rope and don my sword, wearing the robin armor that I bought, while Jelliner carried 2 knapsacks that had our things. Going back to the deck, I found everyone else was ready. Some servants started getting ready to move the crates to the college. The docks in Winterhold seemed really simple, as the only ship here was the Icicle. The rest were some small fishing boats. Now, after 5 days on a ship, I get to set foot on land once again. Never thought I'd miss that feeling. Just as we started to go down, I could finally feel that stable feeling of land. It doesn't dangle like a ship anymore. It felt so damn safe, but for some reason my brain was dangling on its own. This is probably an after effect from a sea voyage. Winterhold was not there yet. The city itself is much higher than the sea level. After the great collapse that swallowed most of the city in the sea, the shore became like a high slope, and one can hardly go up or down between the city and the sea. But it seemed that there is something different from the game in addition to the dock. There are many wooden steps that were installed on the slope that would make going up and down much easier. As the cargo was being loaded down, I instructed Jelliner to keep an eye on the crates that belonged to me and followed Faralda to the college. Now, let's be college students all over again. Chapter 45, Nerina's Demand. Normally, we don't accept students this late after the novice entrance exam, but exceptions can be made. Faralda said, I would normally ask you to perform your skill, but I have already witnessed it. As we were climbing the steps to Winterhold, Faralda kept talking about the acceptance and all that stuff in the game. The one who tests the player is Faralda herself, but in reality, the college accepts many students every year, and from what Nerina told me, there's a door test and a written test. The door test is the test that the player has to do in the game. It's just a performance of the magical skill. Believe it or not, there are fools who try to enter the college with no skill, so the college can't just accept anyone and turn them away at the door. The written test is the one I know from my past life. Nothing strange here, as it is another piece of cake for this handsome young man. My beloved Nerina is your adoptive mother, so I'm not sure if I should make things more difficult for you or not. Faralda said, Damn it, this woman started having scary ideas. You have my blessings, teacher, I said with no hesitation. Not exactly no hesitation. I already thought about this situation and decided to get on Faralda's good side. Then we'll have no problems. What school will you specialize in? Faralda asked. I am a mystic, I said. Mystic? That was Rusning and his gang. I didn't reveal any of that before. I thought as much. Faralda said your magica output is stronger than any Nord I know, but we closed a mysticism major in the college many years. No talents or knowledge in that art appeared in the last 100 years, not after those people disappeared from the world. The last part was said in a low voice. You're talking about the Sijiks, teacher? I asked. You know them, boy. Faralda appeared to be surprised. Nerina really did teach you a lot. Sijiks? What is that? The chatterbox, Svadal, jumped into the conversation. Seriously? You don't know of them? I was taken aback myself, looking at the other 4. They looked as ignorant as him. You guys too? They shook their heads. I looked at Faralda, but she just sighed and looked away. Ahem. This handsome young man will enlighten you then, I said and cleared my throat. Just get over with it. They became irritated. Well, you see, long ago, the Aldmer, elder elves, worshipped their ancestors as gods, but due to changes in the world, gods had to change too. As the change of the pantheon was accepted by most, some elders refused the change and left the Isle of Somerset home of elves to the Isle of Artium in the north of it, and called themselves the Sigic Order. Their main focus and study was the mysticism, or what they prefer to call the Elder Way or the Old Way. That was even before the First Era. The Order has advised kings and monarchs since then, yet had no interest in power themselves. You may not know this, but two of the most famous mages in history, Venus Galerian, founder of the Mages Guild, and Mannimarco the Dreadful Necromancer, were raised by the Order and grew up together from close friends to archenemies. I said all of that, yet the steps were not over yet. Impossible, Svefnis said. Do you know how unbelievable what you said just now is? The great Venus Galerian and the King of Worms grew up under the same organization? It's true. As much as it pains you, a hero like Venus Galerian was once a close friend to Mannimarco. Faralda said, continue boy. Mannimarco, the King of Worms, the Mare Asterisk who sold the world. An elf necromancer who was expelled from the Sigic Order and turned himself into a lich and almost caused the end of the world we know, being the agent of Molag Bal, the Daedric prince, whose sphere is the domination and enslavement of mortals. Aster's human is man, elf is mare. Venus Galerian, on the other hand, was a great archmage and the founder of the Old Mages Guild, which he used to teach the world about the schools of magic, the categorization. That was established by Archmage Shalater, and also created the simplified tools of enchanting and alchemy we know today. Venus Galerian left the Sigic Order disappointed from his master, who didn't stop Mannimarco and just left him to do his evil in the world. Venus Galerian raised an army of mages to stop Mannimarco in a battle that both died in. The Sigic Order is considered the strongest magic organization that specialized in mysticism, and also brought up these two great mages who were students of mysticism themselves. I said as I finished my lesson, this sure is a lot. Jolma, the girl who avoided me the most, was the first to comment. If mysticism is that great, why doesn't our college teach it seriously? Holman asked. Simple, Rusning replied. If an art is that great, then how rare are the people talented in it? Don't you remember what teacher Talfdir always says? The more precious, the rarer, and the opposite is correct. As they all hummed at what Rusning said, Faralda nodded her head with a pleased face. What a rare occasion. I think testing your knowledge is of not necessary now. She said, you already know more than our so-called elites. Mwaha, behold the power of the wiki. As she said that we finally finished climbing the steps. I was not that out of breath, but these steps are scary annoying. I'm starting to worry about Jelliner now. As I started to take a look around, I saw the college's bridge on my left. The bridge of the college didn't look any different than the game, which made me scared. I hate that bridge so much. The bridge is too narrow, and because of the Great Collapse, it lost some of its parts, which made it look like a bridge across the abyss. My only wish right now is the fear of heights which I had in my past life didn't cross over with me. This is my first time on a place that high in this life. The bridge can allow 3 men to walk side by side, so it wasn't bad, but it felt like a walk through the clouds in that thick sea mist. We turned to walk the bridge, so we naturally got to climb it up because the college's level was still higher than the land level. That time I remembered something and turned around to look behind me. So it was like that. The city of Winterhold, a story full of tears and pain, once a prosperous city, a capital of Skyrim, the only place that rivaled the beautiful Solitude, now in that appearance. I thought that Winterhold would be bigger than this, as it was the case with every city so far. There was always that large scale of size between the game world and the real world. But this is sad. The city it was, is now but a petty small town on ruins upon ruins of wood and rubble, frozen by the cold weather. The time seemed to be frozen, as the image the place gave was a vivid one of how brutal the collapse was. Not knowing the reason behind the Great Collapse, some Nords suspect the college as the cause of the tragedy. After all, it was barely hurt by that disaster. The collapse itself was a massive tsunami that took Winterhold by surprise year, 4 times 10 to the power of -122. Winterhold, which was originally isolated, couldn't receive help and was left to decline until today. After 74 years, only a few buildings were rebuilt on the rubble. The reason of this tsunami was unknown. Some say that the eruption of the Red Mountain in Morrowind on 4 times 10 to the power of -5, and it had an effect. Some say the college caused it. Some say it was caused by a dragon that was seen over the sea in Morrowind. I'm not sure which reason it was, but I'd rather say it was karma. There were many Dunmere refugees after the eruption of the Red Mountain, and the Nords drove them out with no mercy. It's sad, but don't let that get into your mind. Rusning said, these people could have helped themselves long ago, but a certain Jarl made his life goal to get rid of the college, then rebuild his town. I followed behind Rusning, but couldn't help but ask, what do you mean? Jarl career, of course. Spadal said, he declared many times that he would one day wait for the rise of the true sons and daughters of Skyrim to get rid of the mages that plagued his hold. Like anyone knows what he means by that. Wait a minute. True sons and daughters of Skyrim, is it? I already guessed that reason, but the Jarl of Winterhold would join the rebellion to get rid of the college. How stupid. This Jarl wants to wage war at the college at some point then. This was predicted even though it didn't happen in the game. The upcoming rebellion that will cause the Civil War can't be stopped, as it seemed that it was already being powered by some strong parties. This is depressing. I just feel that thinking about the tons of things I have to deal with is increasing like crazy. Let's just get over this bridge for now. Yes, one step at a time, and everything shall be solvable. The bridge is made of stone. It's pretty much solid, even with all the damage that was dealt to it by the Great Collapse. Haven't the college tried to fix the bridge? I asked Faralda. Please be our guest. She said, the way of building something like this college is beyond any knowledge we have. So it was like that. It must be tough to be in decline. As we reached the end of the bridge, a metallic gate made from bars that were shaped into a circle that has an eye with the 5 edges coming from it, the symbol of the college. Approaching the gate, it opened itself. Now that's what I call magic. Beyond was a whole different scenery, not quite like the college I knew. The one I knew was a circular courtyard with a round wall surrounding it and linking the 3 towers, and that wall had many large empty windows and a roof bridge on top of it linking the higher floors of the towers too. Mostly that was in front of me, but that was not the case. The round wall I used to know was turned in a round corridor linking all towers, and its windows were sealed with glass. The round corridor itself was well closed from all sides and was warmed by magic. The usually empty courtyard can be accessed, but it seemed that there are 2 facilities there, a short glass structure on each side, from what I was told. These are greenhouses that provide suitable conditions to grow alchemy ingredients. At the end of the courtyard, and opposite to the entrance, lies a statue of a mage posed, as if he was casting a spell. This is the statue of Shalater, the founder of the college. In front of the statue was a fountain of magical energy, known as the focus points. This is one of 4, and one of the things I am really interested in, but not for now. Behind the statue is a gate that returns one back to the circular corridor, and directly behind it is another gate to the biggest tower in the college, the Hall of the Elements. On the left side to the entrance of the college I am standing at is the Hall of Attainment, and on the right is the Hall of Countenance. This is how the college looked from the outside. It kind of looked like the one from Immersive College of Winterhold Mod, but it was much larger, and everything was wider and taller. I actually didn't use the mod. There's a certain disturbing quest that comes along with it, even though it was an excellent mod. Impressive, isn't it? Holman said, 4 years ago when I arrived here, I had the same look on my face. Holman was the oldest one in the team. He is 18, and one of the students there specialized in both destruction and restoration. Of course it's impressive. Faralda said, even though the place hasn't changed since the last 50 years, it still is one of the best magical schools in Tamriel. As I was chatting with the group at the entrance, a woman in a college robes came from the side. Welcome back, Faralda. She said, I trust we can hear some good news about the tournament. Oh, Mirabelle dear, I can say we achieved the primary objective of our journey. Faralda said with her cold, usual tone. That was Mirabelle Irvine, an NPC I know. She is the one who deals with the college management affairs. She is also a master wizard elemental mage. The primary? I thought it was impossible, but well done. Well done indeed. Archmage Savos can have some good news for a change. She said, what about the secondary objective? We faced some complications. Faralda said, an opponent that was too tricky to handle. Wasn't the secondary objective supposed to be the easy one? Mirabelle looked annoyed. A complication, I said. Faralda said and turned to me. I brought the culprit along. Huh? Mirabelle looked at not understanding what was going. Hello, my name is John, and people call me John Dare. I said and stretched my hand for a shake. You are Nerina's son? Mirabelle jumped back in a fright. So you won the tournament? Oh, she knew about me. Nerina seems to have been chatting about this handsome young man. Something wrong. Faralda noticed something and asked Mirabelle. It became a headache now. Why did he win? My workload will get overloaded now. Mirabelle made a pained face and held her head. Something must have happened. Get yourself together. What is going on? Faralda's patience was running short. I also wanted to understand. Sigh. You see, when Nerina Arn returned to the college over a month ago, she headed directly to the Hall of the Elements and registered a new student with the name of John Dare. She declared in front of everyone that she adopted that boy, and he became her legacy apprentice. Archmage Savos was frightened, but all he received was more of the crazy demands of hers. They started fighting and shouting over it every day and night. Normally, when two archwizards fight, no one from the lower ranks can interfere, but it reached the point where it became unbearable. Tolfdir came with a good idea to end the fight, and all agreed to it. It was a bet about who would win the tournament. If it is our team, then Savo's word will go, and if it is John Dare, then Nerina will get what she wants. Mirabelle said all that with the face of someone who wants to cry. What did Nerina want? Faralda asked. Nerina wants to quit the position of the head of the Conjunction Major. Mirabelle said she wants to reopen the Mysticism Major. Chapter 46. Welcome to the college. I was making some research here and there in the wiki lately. I noticed some mistakes I made, and I am thinking of rewriting some old chapters. I will put R in the title. Also, the magical effects and theories have some upgrades, so I'll include them in a later chapter as John upgrading his theory. Enjoy. Star. Well, that sure sounds like her. Faralda said, as if she foresaw it. She can't just leave for 15 years, then pop up like nothing happened and demand whatever she wants. Mirabelle was still depressed. By the way, what are the primary and secondary objectives? I asked as I remembered something they talked about. When we decided to enlist a team from the college into the tournament, we had a goal. Mirabelle said as she gestured for us to follow her. The main objective was to show the people of Skyrim how magic can be wielded, and it is no dangerous power that would cause the horrors they accuse magic with. To do so, we picked a select elite of Nord students from our college and enlisted them. That was the main goal, but we mostly thought it was impossible as no one would change their opinion from just a show of power. Faralda took the explanation from Mirabelle. Still, it actually worked thanks to you. To him/me, Mirabelle and I questioned in unison. Correct, a simple show of power wouldn't make us look any good, but when you challenged us, things turned from that into a competition of talents in the same field. People got interested into it by the time. Faralda said, not just that, but the other opponents from the different teams who knew how to use magic actually became not shy, and some used it. Well done. At least we can be thankful to you in that regard. Mirabelle said, still, we need to stop Nerina before it's too late. I don't want to deal with one more department. You guys help me out. I'm not interested. Faralda said, my beloved Nerina can do whatever she wants. I'm a mystic, so I'm getting benefited from it. I bailed out too. I heard how amazing mysticism can be. I want to learn about it. Svidal jumped in. Don't you know that Venus Galerian was a mystic? How can I let down such an opportunity? Svefna, who was a fanatic of Anuz, made her opinion too. Even the other guys had some opinion about mysticism. No, you guys can't do this. You just can't, this is cruel. Mirabelle looked like she was about to cry. Most Nords are tall, and an altmare like Faralda is ridiculously tall like her people. The pitiful Mirabelle was a Breton who were short people. Looking at the scene from the side, it looked like a child was being bullied by a bunch of adults. It was just that pitiful. Humph. Fine. Mirabelle stomped on the ground and walked ahead alone. We still followed behind her. The circular corridor was actually vast and had a lot of stuff here and there. One notable thing was the vendors on the outer side of the corridor standing in some stalls. They appear to be students that deal with all sorts of stuff. Soul gems, clothes, alchemy, and more. Some were even selling food or small animals. One more thing was noted. It was cats. Cats here, cats there, cats everywhere. There were tons of cats that my soul was having a hard time staying in its flesh vessel. It wanted to go out and pat all these cats. Ojiski. Deep breath. That's right. Everything will be Daijabu. The corridor serves as our marketplace. As students come to the college from everywhere, most find a hard time earning money. For that, the college arranged a market idea for them. Rusning said, this was also an aftermath of the Great Collapse as Winterhold started cutting ties with us. Where can these guys bring supplies from? I asked, as I knew how Winterhold itself didn't have much to offer. Why do you think the college has its personal ships? Holman said, Captain Geldof is the one who does the supplying. His ships travel from Winterhold to Solitude, Dawnstar and Windhelm just to get us supplies. He, of course, benefits the most. Then what about the city? Why don't they work with the captain? I asked. Do you think the Jarl will let them? This bastard is like a leech spell. If you don't get rid of it, it will devour you slowly. Svedal, who was strangely silent, started speaking with a heavy voice. He bullies anyone that make deals with the college or Capitan Geldof. He even made a prison in a frozen cave on some island. The mood turned heavy as he spoke. No one can touch him. Even the college can't do anything to him. Not even Solitude can have news about the hold. He is the Jarl. The Jarl is the law. And in an isolated hold like Winterhold, what do you think people can do? Even if we ran away, we'll either die in the sea or never return. Svedal's voice was sad, so sad. I think I stepped on a landmine here. What was even more unexpected was Faralda. She patted his back for some reason. For an altmare lady to get off her high horse and pat a Nord boy. What kind of past did this guy have? I can't really ask about that, so I remained silent. Still, what is really going on in Winterhold? From what I remember, Riften was the most corrupted and Markarth was the most violent. And for what he said, this town has a high level of corruption. People oppressed by a ruler, progress and living is not allowed. People can barely leave or die trying. Seemed like a country I used to live in once. We kept walking in the big round corridor. Unlike any other marketplace, this one was a quiet and clean one, unless for those whose jobs require some noise. I could see an orc boy making some metalwork with magic. This is my first time seeing an orc. It seemed that the college made some laws for its grounds and enforced it with its own guards. College guards seems to be students with a duty of law enforcement. I guess this is necessary after all. Walking past all that gave me the idea of how big this college can be, I am really looking forward to what it has to offer. As we finally reached the big gate of the Hall of the Elements, it was wide open for the students that were coming and going. The atmosphere of that tower is similar to what a college should feel. Beyond that gate is a wide entranceway that led to a very vast circular hall with a high roof. It is as vast as a basketball stadium with a large magicka focus point fountain in the middle of it. This is the first floor of the tower and the hall of practicing and teaching. All the big exams happen here too. In the entranceway, there used to be 2 doors on the left and right, and behind them were the stairs, but that was in the game. In reality, however, there were no doors. The stairs were directly open and were much wider. Now it felt more like a college. You guys wait here. I'll inform the Archmage of your arrival, Mirabelle said and walked to the stairs. I'm going to look for Nerina. Faralda declared her purpose and turned around. Where can I find her? The Arcaneum, Mirabelle said without looking back. I started looking around in the hall on the first floor. The guys told me what are the magicka focus points. Apparently, there are 4 of them, one in the circular courtyard outside, and one on each tower. They're used to make the magicka regeneration much faster to those who are around them. Also, they power up the enchantments that protect the college and serve in many other purposes. These are one of the big things that were made by the founder, Archmage Shalader. After that, they told me about the ranks of the college. The ranks in the college were pretty interesting. When you join the college, you become a student. Students are the lowest rank, but you get to stay in the Hall of Attainment dormitory, the one where many students live in the same room. Also, you can access its library and become allowed to learn most of the novice spells. You can't open a stall to do business, but you can be someone's helper. Students get to stay in the college for 1 year. If they didn't rank up, they will get expelled. The next rank is the apprentice. This rank has more privileges. You get to move from the dorms and have your own room on a higher floor. You'll have to choose a school to get specialized in, but you also can learn from all schools as you wish. You can access the library of the apprentices where you get to learn the apprentice level spells. You can have your own stall and do your business. The time limit of that rank is 2 years. If you don't rank up, you get expelled. The rank after it is the Evoker. This rank is very sensitive for a mage because you can access the Adept level spells and finally access the legendary Arcaneum. This is the official graduation rank, and after it, you get to call yourself a mage. It is also time limited as one can stay as an Evoker for 5 years. After it, you get to graduate or be expelled. By the way, the college's team of 5 in the tournament are Evokers. Graduation opens all sorts of careers suitable for a mage. Jarls have more than just one court mage. Unlike the game, even though Nords don't like mages, magic is the force of this world. The only Jarl who doesn't employ mages is probably career, Jarl of Winterhold. The other path after graduation is another ranking up, and here where things get interesting. The next rank up is the Scholar rank. To rank up, you need to submit a research of a spell you created or a discovery in the field of magic. This is one of the reasons why mages bite each other's asses all the time. The rank Scholar means you are an official of the college. You get to access anything unless it was marked as classified. You also get to move to the Hall of Countenance with the other staff and have a chamber for yourself. You'll get a handsome monthly payment too. Basically, this is the dream. But there are duties too. Jobs around the college are either in the teaching, the alchemy lab, the enchanting hall, or the healing services. There are also requests that are available for all ranks, and the college gets a fee from them. The rank Scholar rank is a job and has no time limit, yet some practices are limited under no clear permission or excuse. There are no tradable spells after Adept level spells. One either create his own, acquire it by a mean, or from a personal mentor if she is under one. In my case, I am Nurina's evil minion, and I was promised to see her big spells. Up until now, I haven't seen any spell beyond Adept spells. This was also depressing, but I guess I'll have to recreate the expert and master level spells from the game, or think of cooler ones. After a long time of study and a big contributions, one can rank up to the wizard rank. This is the beginning of powerhouse career. You could be a respectable member of the college and a high official. You also can access the big tomes of knowledge and give lectures to students in the big hall. You also get to represent the college in the official business. After another long ages of study, you can finally rank to be a master wizard. Don't think of anything funny. The ranking to the word master is enough to make you a celebrity in Tamriel, and all things move from your way when you walk around. The college may leave you to your business, but if you decided to stay, you could be the head of a department or the manager of a certain task. Names like Talfdir, Colette Marantz, Finest Jester, Dravis Nellerin, and Mirabelle Irvine are the heads of each department and the big dogs around the college. It also seemed that Faralda is not the head of the destruction department yet. Mirabelle Irvine is the head and also the manager of the affairs. After the rank of a master wizard, there's the rank of the archmage. This is the rank that they put just there to say no one is better than us. So F***K off. These guys are crazy strong, dragons level strong. There is no rank behind it, as no one cares about any ranking at that point. Of course, there is a scary difference between the archmages themselves. You can't compare our friendly neighborhood Archmage Savos Aran to someone like Archmage Shalader or Archmage Venus Galerian. This Guy got his ass kicked in the game in an unsightly manner. I said before I will use the ranks of Oblivion, but I found that the college has its own ranks that were cut from the game. I will use that useful cut content here. Speaking of the devil, Mirabelle came down with a dun mare behind her. His robes looked really grand and clean. He also walked in a proud manner and looked at us with lazy eyes. I suppose your tournament idea went well, Mirabelle. Even though we can't brag about winning as I was planning to, we still got ourselves some good reputation, he said in a slow and a lazy voice. Yes, Archmage, Mirabelle said. That is our team here. Well done, everyone. Even though it wasn't a win, I am still going to reward each of you with an adept tome of your liking. He said, then looked at me. And I suppose you are the new source of our headache. WTF. You say that to Nurina if you have the marbles. And what's with this manner of talking? Are you really her relative? I remember Nurina not agreeing with him in every piece of news she got from the college. She always said that he loves appearances and coveted the position of the Archmage, not caring about how much it would affect the political view if he became one. John Dare. I introduced myself. Quite the arrogant name, he said. Girls love it, I replied. Huh, I suppose they do. He laughed and said, congratulations on your win and welcome to the college. Remember, what you learn here will last you a lifetime. Several, if you're talented. Thank you, Archmage, I said. He is surprisingly nice. I know some of his background, but Nurina's opinion of him may have affected his image to me a bit. He left back to the stairs, and Mirabelle dismissed the rest. I was helplessly alone. I'll show you to the dorms, she said, and headed out, so I followed. Nurina has informed me of your talent as a mystic. I am not surprised. Many Nords has the talent, but it is wasted by their magic phobia. The big and hidden clans always associated themselves with the talent. I just hope my work doesn't get overloaded with this new department again, she said with a broken soul. What is teacher's job? I asked. Sigh. I manage the destruction department, but my most important work is planning for the college's future, deal with applications and the public affairs, she said. So, there is no one to take the destruction department burden from you? I asked. Only Faralda, but that would take time for her to become a master wizard, she said. That hard? I was taken aback. Faralda is supposed to be a master when the game starts. Do you think the master rituals are easy? She said in an annoyed tone. The destruction school may seem the most popular school on the outside, but every research we do is life-threatening. Faralda is an excellent mage, but a single mistake in magic is a disaster. In the rituals, no one can predict the frequency of the magical waves at that time, and no one is stupid enough to stand beside a master spell researcher and sense it for them. That was a lot of nagging, she just said. I still think I can solve that problem, but it will take some time for me to finish the idea. I'll contribute it to the college afterward. After saying this and that, a figure in a black robe and a hood approached. It came to me and raised a part of the hood. Nurina? What AR? I was about to say something, but she put her hand on my mouth. Shush, you idiot, she said in a low voice. I'm going to my chambers. You find me there. If a stupidly tall high elf girl asked about me, don't tell her where I went. The situation seemed weird, but I nodded as Nurina started running away. Mirabelle looked at me, and I shrugged my shoulders to her. Not long after, another person stopped us, a stupidly tall high elf indeed. I mean, Faralda. Where did she go? I smell her around here. She was looking around. Scary. Stalkers are scary. She sneaked to her chambers. I said, Sorry, Nurina. I'm a bad minion. I knew it, Faralda said, and ran towards the Hall of Countenance with vigor. My laughter leaked out, and my shoulders started shaking. Mirabelle was looking at me and sighed for the 1,000th time this day. Sigh. Looks like our peaceful days are over. Chapter 47, Lost Magic. Important with the spirit of remastering the novel, some changes happened. 1. Many spells and theories will be changed into more realistic ones, including the spells from the game. I think most of you can find it more immersive if we use Healing Hand spell to the normal healing disregarding the target. After all, If you aim it at yourself, it's healing spell. If you aim it at another, then it's healing hand spell. The game made many spells from the same idea many times, like turn lesser undead, turn undead, and turn greater undead. We can make that just a damn one spell and get over with it. 2. Mod spells are really ineffective because they're just revamping of the game spells with no real use. I'll use the useful ones and change some stuff. For example, long stride will be hasten or accelerate like that. 3. Chapter 12 was remastered. All remastered chapters have R in the title. Now enjoy. Star. I don't know what Mirabelle meant by peaceful days, but I will have fun as usual. That's the normal plan I go with. Mirabelle told me more stuff I already knew, but there was something important. Nerina said that you would take the exam of the ranking at the end of the month. The higher the rank, the better the benefits. So make sure to study for it. She said, "Isn't that next week?" I asked. "Yes, we hold the ranking exams every 4 months. It's okay. No matter how hard the exam, you can do it the next time." She said, "How many times I can take the exam on the same day?" I had an idea, so I asked. "Excuse me." She looked strangely at me. "I mean, when I finish the ranking exam to apprentice, can I take the exam to evoker on the same day?" "Huh? You think it's easy?" "Normally, it's one exam at a time. You'll have to wait for the next exam to rank up." She said, "And are you that confident to pass the exam?" "Simple. I don't pass. Nerina kills me." I said, "That's the truth, though. The angry side of Nerina is scary." "Fine. I wish you luck. The new department will be officially announced after the exam." Nerina managed to rope in some teachers and students, too. She said and looked away. "What's that noise?" There was indeed some noise. Someone was shouting. It came from the direction of the Hall of Attainment. Some servants were making a fuss with another one who appeared to bring a lot of crates with them. Seemed not permitted. "Oh crap, these are my crates. And that's Julliner." "Ahem, is something wrong?" I approached Julliner and asked. "These people don't want to let master's luggage in. They keep saying that a student can't bring all this to a normal dorm." She said, then whispered, "One more minute and I'll kill them." The last part was said in a cold tone. I unconsciously broke into cold sweat. I couldn't help but smile wryly to this murderous girl. "I have to act now. These crates are yours? You can't take them unless you have a private room," Mirabelle said. Julliner was about to retort, but I poked her a bit hard. "The one in front of you is a master wizard, damn it. She can barbecue us with a finger." He. Sorry about that. I forgot to tell the maid that these crates were to be sent to Nerina's chambers. Clumsy me. I hurriedly thought of something. Truth is, half of them belongs to her, so that was a half lie, I guess. "Okay," Mirabelle said and looked to a servant. "Take them to the Hall of Countenance, the top floor." "But Mistress Mirabelle, these crates are insanely heavy. We almost broke our backs carrying them here," the servant guy said. "Here," Mirabelle said and cast a spell that gives a green hue, similar to my hasten spell. "Is this feather spell?" I wondered out loud. "Correct," Mirabelle reacted. "This spell is feather spell from the alteration school. It falls under the aspect of weight and the effect of resist. Basically a resist weight spell. It can make stuff lighter. I haven't learned it yet, but it's an important spell I plan to learn." When Mirabelle cast Just It Now, that was no normal cast. She cast a lingering effect on a dead object. Dead objects can only be enchanted to maintain an effect like resist weight. To cast on them is like this, needs maintaining the effect for some time, but it's hard to control. It needed to be cast continuously or the spell would be broken. This just now was a show of might. One more thing. Your maid can't stay in the dorms unless you have your own room, Mirabelle said. "You need to figure that out quickly." "Yes, ma'am." Mirabelle showed me my place inside the dorms. I'll stay here for 1 week before I take the exams to rank up. My roommates would be 2 Nord twins called Borver and Rondi, and 1 Argonian called Eyeless T. I think I heard of these people in the game, but strangely, I have no impression. NPCs from cut content. After saying introductions, I followed Mirabelle out, and she handed me something. My college uniform. Hee. It's just a sleeveless robe and a hooded mantle with the college insignia imprinted on them. One can wear them over clothes. You might ask, I was accepted without an examination. Well, I'm a legacy student of a big shot. If they put me under an exam, then that's an insult to Nurina. Back to the topic. I took Jellinar and went to the Hall of Countenance. Mirabelle said that Nurina lives on the top floor. Unlike the Hall of Attainment, which had its first floor into a noisy dining hall and a library, with the dorms on the second. The Hall of Attainment had a very classy cafeteria and a place to relax in peace on the first floor. The second was a research facility with a lot of enchanting tables and alchemy stations around. This was a proper workplace. The third and above was the quarters of the scholars and the wizards, the master wizards, and beyond the rank took the highest floors. Both towers had Magicka focus points in the center, as all floors were circular, and every floor had an open circular hole at the center that allows the Magicka fountain to flow up. One thing must be noted that some magicians that are skilled in alteration can use the energy of the fountain to float up and down like an elevator. How enviable. Noobs like me have to take the stairs. Not much later, we were on the top floor. I could tell Nurina's chambers by the crates in front of the door. After knocking on the door, I heard some footsteps coming. Who opened the door was a beautiful Dunmare lady. That was not Nurina. She has a brown hair with the same Dunmare skin and eyes. Added to that was a war paint on the sides of her face. "May I help you, students?" she asked. "Ahem. Excuse me. I am here for Nurina. Isn't this her place?" I said with a smile. The first rule when you see a beautiful lady is to make a good impression. "Archwizard," the lady said. "Excuse me, I didn't understand what she wanted to say. Lady Nurina or Archwizard Nurina? She's not some friend of yours, student," the lady said in a scolding tone. I could hear Jellinar giggling, "This damn scoundrel." My smile turned into a crumbled one. "Good impression," they said. "I think this is what we call a disaster impression." Ahem. Excuse my rudeness for not introducing myself. I kept my polite attitude. "I am her adopted son." The lady got taken aback. She looked at me up and down. I was wearing my travel pants and a gray shirt with a new student sleeveless robe, as well as my Skyforge saber. "You're John?" she asked. "Looks like I am kind of famous nowadays." Yes, I was saying yes, I am John, but I suddenly got hugged by that lady. It was a fast hug, but she got back and held my shoulders. "So it's you? We were waiting. Nurina told me so much about you." Her irritated look turned 180 degrees to beams of sparkle. This was fast, even on Jellinar's crazy standards. "I'll tell you came. Hurry in." She ran inside smiling. For a second, I felt my confidence getting a blow rather than being moved by the hug. I was using my charms, yet for some reason this woman was moved by the fact I am Nurina's son. This is tough. I took a breath to calm myself, but I remembered Jellinar who was laughing at me. Let's see how she looks now. As expected, she was taking some time to comprehend what happened. Hee, I giggled and slipped a finger at her. Going through the door, I could see a beautiful entranceway with flower pots on each side. Walking ahead and turning slightly to the right was a large room full of furniture. It has a big round window that its bars were shaped into the insignia of the college. The room had 3 beautiful ladies, the one I just met, and a Faralda who somehow magically merged into a helpless-looking Nurina. "What's up?" I said while grinning at Nurina. Nurina's expressions were dark, and she looked at me while murmuring something. "Traitor." "Huh. Sorry." "Traitor. Scoundrel." A stream of cursing assaulted me alongside anything her hands could reach to throw at me. "Lonith, hold him down," Nurina said to the other Dunmare lady. Her name was Lonith, huh? Where did I hear that name before? I have little recollection of the name. Was she from Ahmad? Never mind that now. I caught all the stuff Nurina threw at me. The chaos continued for a while until Lonith called it off. By some miracle, she could separate Faralda from Nurina. What a capable woman. Can you act with some sanity around here? She was also scolding Faralda. I'm taking 15 years worth of snuggle. With interest. Faralda was still ready for another round. As for Nurina, who ran behind some table. Never seen that side of hers before. Look now. We have some students here. Act with some dignity. Lonith gave a lecture. Now, you have a report to write and a class to manage. Let's go before Mirabelle joins the mess. The very capable Lonith dragged Faralda out and left the chambers. Who remained were me, Nerina, and Jellinar, who just followed in. Stinkin' brat, you sell your old mother out to that walking tower of snuggling and come to laugh at it. Nerina was glaring at me. I could help but smile wryly. She became lively again. Seriously, you can't blame me. I mean, she was sniffing after you in the corridor. You should have covered your scent. I said that after looking around for a place to sit. Sigh, this is my fault. Nerina shivered when I said the thing about Faralda tracking her by scent. How did you guys get along that well anyway? I asked helplessly. Nerina looked at me, then walked to a chair, then sat while holding a mug. That's some coffee from the smell. Long ago before the Great Collapse, I was just a scholar here and Faralda was a new student that came from Somerset. She said, "What do you think would make an Altmare girl leave her home that is famed for its magic and come to Skyrim? Good weather, friendly locals, tasty food." I started to mention Skyrim's features. Faralda had no class or status in Somerset. She was talented, but poor as most of the students who come here. Nerina said, "I taught her, and she was a good learner, so I doted her for a while, maybe more than I should. Never thought she would be a pervert. It's okay as long as nothing weird is involved." "So why did you leave her with no connection for 15 years? I asked. "I went for Riften to test some spells with some of the hags who followed the old ways for many years. I wanted to reach a way to find the soul cairn and conjure creatures from it, but I was delayed when some friend asked me to adopt you," she said. This is the first time she speaks about my adoption. "But why did you work in an orphanage then?" I was curious. "I told you before. No one would suspect the friendly orphanage headmistress to be a mage on a field work," she said. "Back then was a post-war period, and any stranger was being suspected of being a spy." She is right. "Anyway, who is that girl?" "That's Jellinar. I hired her to be my maid." Nerina raised her brows. "Really? How did you meet her?" "She was an assassin hired to kill me by Sibby Blackbriar." Nerina lagged. She looked at the girl that glared at her. I could feel Jellinar shuddering from the killing Aura Nerina made just now. "You don't need to be like that. You see, things happen like this," and I started telling her about what happened in Solitude. After listening, Nerina was amazed more. "You killed an assassin, killed 3 thugs, and then killed Sibby's son of Maven." Nerina exclaimed, "Boy, I look away from you, and you already killed some people and lost your virginity. Mama approves." "Thank you." I was appreciating her approval, but something felt wrong. What is that thing about my virginity?" I felt like I heard the word. "Stinkin' brat. You thought I wouldn't notice." Nerina smiled evilly at me. "We'll talk about that. Alone. Crap. This won't end well. Just like that time when I held Akira's tail. Anyway, I brought you the stuff you needed. Joel, bring it in." Jellinar took the chance to escape from Nerina's presence. After a while of talking, Nerina already made me confess everything. She was impressed by the Magicka cultivation, but said it would need a lot more than just that to be an effective training. "So, what do you research now?" I asked to get some space from her questions. Did you see Lonith just now? She is our Mysticism Department new addition and will be your teacher. I let her see some of your ideas, and she took a liking to them." Nerina said, "We started a little project on some documents our friends have liberated from an old research facility that belonged to Lord Corvus Dureni." Corvus Dureni. I was amazed and stood up. The famous conjurer from the First Era? The first mage to combine the bound and conjure aspects in one spell. I yelled. "That's him." Nerina joined my excitement. "We're going through his documents, but it's heavily coded. The best one I know who can solve codes is you. Ready for what's coming? Just say it." I was dying from anticipation. These documents may contain his work of forcing the Atronax to take different forms. Nerina said, "Amazing. Every conjurer heard the stories of Lord Corvus Doreni summoning Atronax in the shape of a horse, a camel, or even a bear. So you're saying that we can finally change the Atronax to any form we like? I asked. Do you have a form in mind? Nerina asked. Hee, this will be crazy. Chapter 48, Vocaris. The chapter will be edited later. It was not as fun as I thought. Solving the code of these hurdles of paper is a pain. These papers were written hundreds of years ago. The language itself was different, and the magic was not theorized as today's magic. There are a lot of aspects that changed with the upgrade of every theory, something like understanding magnetism, gravity, the laws of matter and energy, and all that. The My One School theory is based on the latest scientific understanding of the mundane world of Earth. I'm not familiar with science very well, but I read a lot of sci-fi fictional works, and I have a general understanding for some big theories. This is why I made big progress in the art of magic. For some time now, I was arguing with Nerina over many aspects, and I even won against her a few times. In my opinion, the aspects of magic are similar to the table of elements. One can imagine how many magics with how many uses can be made. In my One School theory, I reversed the process that was done by Archmage Venus Galerian, founder of the Mages Guild. He basically took inspiration from the categorization that was done by Archmage Shalater and laid the first aspects of the schools of magic as we know today. He was a Psijic, so he knew more about the aspects than anyone outside the order. The Psijics themselves don't follow anything other than the mysticism, which means that the possibility of them having something similar to the One School theory is high. I myself speculated a new aspect for the gravitational forces and called it the aspect of magnetism. It's nothing complete yet, but if my calculations are correct, I may create the perfect force field shield, or maybe a hover enchantment and a spell. The current barriers fall under what is called aspect of physiokinesis, such like stone skin. The reason why Venus Galerian didn't put all what he knew into mysticism was for one of two reasons. Maybe he didn't want to teach the secrets of the Psijic order which he abandoned to the world, or what he learned didn't exceed what he passed down. Still, the paper in front of me had strange aspects, or I am not translating it very well. Maybe both. Maybe it's part of the code. Looking at the window, I saw the sun was already setting and my work didn't advance beyond the first page. Nerina was reading some tomes about the aspects to help me translate them. Lonith came back a while ago and started to teach Jeliner's magical ability after Nerina's request. Nerina also decided that Jeliner will remain with her until I get my own room. She was not treating Jeliner with goodwill, as it seems that she doesn't trust her. She only wants to judge her for now. This was actually my reason for bringing Jeliner along. Nerina has a soft spot for children and maybe find a way to fix the girl, mental or physically. I am tired. Something leaked out of my mouth, and it was the truth. Go ahead and have rest. Nerina said, come tomorrow. I'll bring you some books from the Arcaneum. Such a kind mother you are, Nerina. I remember some titles about the old theories. They'll help you translate faster. How cool. I want to study for that exam, you know. You think you're allowed to do bad. Ugh, why am I being given that look? Fine. I stood and went out of that room. Too many Dunmare nerds in one place. This tower was lovely, unlike the normal dorms, and I saw many scholars here and there, fighting over theoretical knowledge. I'm still exhausted, so I better head out to sleep in the dorm now. Putting will into action, I went out of the Hall of Countenance and took left to walk away, just to crush into someone followed by the sound of something dropped. Hey, watch it. The person who crashed into me has a very rough voice, somewhat scared me, but I looked at him. Apparently, that was the orc boy who was doing some metalworking earlier. I am sorry, I was absent-minded. I made an apology and looked to see what fell on the ground, and it was some paper. To show the apology in a time like this, one must help collecting the paper. I'm so sorry, I was very into deep thinking just now. Here you go. I helped the boy to collect his stuff, but my eye fell on a certain paper. It had a weird drawing on it. What was that? Some sort of clock or compass. Excuse me, but you are not supported to see that. Club members only. The Orc-Boo voice can awaken the dead in oblivion. Damn it. Don't you listen to yourself. I am sorry. My curiosity took the best of me. I said as I was planning to question that guy about the sketch, "My name is John Morbagog." We shook hands as we introduced ourselves. "What is that device?" "Device, huh? Don't you see a compass?" "Please don't insult me. That is no compass. It have too many details and numerical markings to be one." "Hee hee. So you can get a huh?" Morbagog smiled and said, "These are club's secrets. I won't say even if you were the Archmage himself." "Ho ho. Now I won't leave until I know. What is that club thing?" "Oh, well, every group of apprentices can form a small community and contribute together as a team. You look like a new student around here, so I'll tell you. This was what one could expect. Some people can't contribute alone, so they work in teams. After all, the manpower a team can provide is much higher than one person. There are many teams for various activities. Normally, alchemy, enchanting, and research teams are the popular ones. The students of a security team are also a club made by the college itself, and granted the duties, their contributions are about how long and how good their record is, so they're very strict all the time." "And your club is about machinery?" I asked. "Yes, it is. The club is led by a Nord teacher named Elisle." Morbagog said, "We are the smallest club, but we will never be looked down upon. I salute your spirit. Looks like his club is not doing anything useful, though." "Can I take a look at your club?" I asked. Normally you can, but students can't join. You guys should study for the rank up," he said and looked disheartened. "I'm a student until next week," I said, full of confidence. "Pretty confident, Morbagog looked at me up and down. "Fine, you can follow. But remember, only those with true passion for creativity are allowed to join." What a lame phrase. I'm just curious. "Come, this way." Morbagog walked, and I tagged along. Let's see what will he show me. Following Morbagog, we arrived at the gate that leads to the circular courtyard of the college. I never went there before, but it looked pretty. 2 buildings around the central Magica focus point, and a statue of Shalader, but the weather was freezing. Morbagog led me to the building on the left. He pushed the door open, and I followed. A curved corridor we were in with plants and herbs on its wall. Moss and mushrooms were being grown here too. Sunlight was provided by a spell called Mage Light. It gave off light and magical radiance that has a similar effect to sunlight. As we walked, we reached some stairs that took us underground. Another floor emerged, and Morbagog hurried me to a room on the side. "I am back. Someone is coming with me," Morbagog said as I walked in. I saw another 3 people in there. They all looked busy with their stuff. A panther-like large Khajiit boy holding a strange, spooky blade-like thing. A Redguard hot girl looking at a machine that producing flame. A very pure-looking Nord girl with platinum hair who was looking at a book with a red face and a not-so-good smile. This looked like the weirdest gathering ever. A Khajiit, an Orc, a Redguard, and a Nord. Morbagog cleared his voice and spoke. "This is our club's secret lair. The guy over there is Marin. He is a big and silent Catharot, and he is an apprentice with some background in Dwemer engineering. He is obsessed with evil-looking killing machines, but he is a good-hearted fellow. This is Yisra, a apprentice Redguard, as you see. She is fond of anything that has to do with fire, but she's a good-hearted fellow. Yisra appeared in the game but was already dead. This is teacher Elisle, one of the youngest scholars with many worthless contributions. She likes booze and researches on a magic that makes people nude, but she's a good-hearted fellow. Finally, I am Morbagog, son of Margabrog. I'm the 20th child of my father, so I left and wandered for 2 years until I found a college. I am an apprentice who is fond of machines, and also, let me guess, a good-heated fellow. I interrupted him because my head has its fill of his deep, rough voice. Huh, you got it fast. Oblivion. This is a messed-up club. A serial killer Khajiit, an arsonist Redguard, a perverted Nord, and an airhead Orc. The 3 looked at me and stopped what they were doing. The scholar Elisle stood and looked at me. Morbagog spoke again. This is John. He may be a student until the end of the week, but when he saw the sketch of the Magica calculator project and made a close guess about it, he also looked like a good-hearted fellow. The trio seemed to raise their brows. Welcome, student. I am Lyle, the club manager. Don't let the club appearance worry you. We are a legit club. We are a research club that is specialized in machines. We may lose in numbers, but our spirits are strong. She made a speech full of spirit. Marin and Yisra looked away, not interested in what she was about to say. Club rules are simple. As long as you're a free thinker, creative, and machines lover, then you're welcome in our ranks. She finished her short show, then made some puppy eyes. Please join us. These are some serious puppy eyes, but who is she using it on? The cat lover overlord. I'll think about it. TCH. Alile clicked her tongue and sat back on her seat. Morbagog cleared his voice and was about to speak, but I jumped away scared from the sound he made. Hee. Sorry. Truth is, we need a fifth member or we will be disbanded. I thought you have a good brain for machinery, so I invited you here. This one thinks you need to take a look around first. Marin spoke. Feel free to ask about our personal projects. So what do you guys do? I asked immediately. I'm working on a highly flammable project to fill dungeon with gas and kill all the vermin dwelling in. Yisra said without looking away. She was standing on some alchemy station behind Alile's chair. She'll kill herself one day with something similar. I work on a main team project for now, the one you saw in the sketch, as well as my stall. Morbagog said. This one thinks that the Dwemer could have done a better job with their machines. I am adding some ideas on a model to make it 100 times more deadly. That was Marin. That is one hopeless team. What about Miss Alile? I asked. Huff. Heh. I am working on a spell that makes everyone nude, as well as the main project. She said, this girl is dangerous. But I couldn't help but look at the runes of the spell she was sketching. Spells are made of magical energy, called magica, that is shaped into the runic circle or magic circle that gives birth to the spell. Similar to the rune spells from the game, this was the main idea behind the magic. The runes she made were a total mess, a strange mess with a chaotic appearance, but they seemed familiar. The book I read this morning has the same chaotic feeling. Can you explain what are these runes here and here about? I asked with the thickest skin I have. Prying into another mage's business is impolite, but I feigned the ignorance of the students. So you're interested in making people nude as well? Of course it is like this. Alile didn't mind at all and started explaining. What was that? This girl is a genius. Her brain worked around many aspects as if she was thinking like a cyclone. These chaotic runes started to look very beautiful. I was being illuminated by that perverted girl. Even though she was a pervert, she spoke in a very accurate manner when it came to the spell. Her explanation pulled Morbagog and Marin to stand beside me in front of her. Yisers remained behind, Alile busy in her world. After she finished, I looked at her and was in wondering. Miss Alile, you're one big nerd. I said that while admiring her perverted work. She smiled and puffed her flat chest. She was standing, but I noticed she was a shorty for a Nord. Only problem is, to make people go nude, you need to cast a lingering effect on a dead object, which is they're like clothes. If you do it like that, that's fine, but the amount of control you need is unfathomable. I saw teacher Mirabelle cast a similar spell this morning, and it was impressive. Sigh. I know. How frustrating. My control was never my best quality. Morbagog scared us with his voice again. I'm sure you will do it. Big sister won't give up. Marin, who was standing beside me, was sighing and shaking his head. Okay. Don't shout, Morbagog, don't shout. Alile was calming down the orc boy. Shout. Huh. An idea came to me. What did you say, John? Alile heard me. I say, teacher, maybe a spell would be hard, but what if it was a shout? A Thursday, I said my mind. Yeah, that's a good idea. But the Thursday needs years of practice, and it's not known if there is a word for nude in the dragon language. Oh, about that. I researched about that long time ago when I tried to make my own shouts. From my past life, there were people who researched the dragon language on a website, and came up with thousands of words. I also thought about shout with the same function. If I remember correctly, then it was vocera's Linus nut, which meant undress sexy nude. I think I know a word that means undress. I said, "What?" The four people freaked out. That was a Thursday after all. Truth be said, I researched something on my own and made it to this word. I took a paper and drew the dragon runes on it and translated it for them. This is the word. I handed the paper to Eliel. It's read vocaras, Vokaras, 7 dragon runes as you see. Morbagog and Marin stood beside me in awe. Yisra stood behind Eliel looking at the word. Eliel was looking at the word as if she was imprinting it in her brain. Her breathing became heavier and things got dangerous. I only gave her the word to repay her on the favor she did to me. I now can finish the work with Nurina before the exam. How does people shout? Marin asked. To shout, you need to fully understand the word and its runes. You need to have the strongest imagination in your head about the effect you are about to cause. Last step is to focus your vital essence into a shout. That was pretty much it. Vocaras, Eliel said. Yes, that's how it is pronounced. That was a splendid pronunciation indeed. Vocaras, she said again. Good luck. Keep practicing. I said, Vocaras. She was still saying it. Big sister, are you okay? Morbagog felt something was wrong. Huff, huff, hee. Eliel stated to make weird voices. I had a bad premonition, but alas, I was too late. Vocaras. Chapter 49, Rank Up Exam. This is a lore-based chapter. One of the chapter LS that will focus on the magic and its theory. Thinking back about what happened that day, my body starts to shiver. Seriously, perverts are scary. Thar Eliel is something out of the norm. She comprehend the word undress to the deepest meaning possible of the word itself. Such willpower and determination is worthy of admiration if it wasn't something worth it. She used my basic explanation of the shouting process and applied it in a scary manner. If news of this reached the vigilance of Stander, Eliel will be hunted down for sure. Vigilance of Stander are an order of fighting priests that serve the god of righteousness. Vampire and Daedra hunters. Due to Eliel shout, my clothes, as well as Marin and Morbagog, were blown away. Well, not exactly all the clothes. Only the first layer of clothes, thankfully. Normally in that cold weather we wear more than just one layer, so we had our robes and pants blown away. I don't understand the theory or the idea behind undress, so I really have no understanding of the phenomenon. What happened after that was understandable for someone who uses the Thursday for the first time. Eliel fainted. Yisra screamed. The two boys were gratified for what happened. It took us a long time to calm down and fix the mess. Still, I'm not sure if Eliel fainted due to the shout or to extensive nosebleeding. Sorry, all this mess happened a week ago. Thankfully, it was a weak shout from an untrained person, so it didn't do much noise. Sigh. Ouch. I sighed again, but something hits my head. Stop sighing and get back to work. Finish the damn thing. Nurina, who threw a book at my head, is annoyed to the limit. After the incident in that club, I went back to Nurina the next morning and made a good progress with solving the code. Truly genius. Some people has the mindset to think in circles and tie things with each other in a fantastic way. It's that kind of ability which you need to see, then go apply it. Something like a talent, but it's a fantastic form of concentration. Applying it was not hard, as I managed to fully utilize the method for solving the code and understanding the subject in 3 days. The subject was about a very unique magical effect called bend. It can be said that it can be applied in mysticism and alteration, similar to the effects alter and change. Magical effects combined with magical aspects formed into a rune circle casted with a magical technique give the birth of a spell. I made a lot of self-research on all these things and came up with a lot of results that I kept my note. If all these guesses and results are correct and can be applied, then I'll call myself the daddy of the modern mystokinesis. Still, I'm not able to experiment for the time being. I need a lot of personal space and privacy with a vast amount of materials and books. Basically, I need to go in a place where I can go wild with research. If I only had an internet right now. Sigh. Stop sighing. Fine. Fine. Iskrimir's tomb is nearby. You'll awaken him with this shouting. Nurina is irritated beyond her usual self now. Currently, I am at her place with Lonith and Little Joel. Everyone has their own task. After understanding the research of Lord Corvus Dureni, we now are recreating the spells by our effort. I am working on the flame Atronax as I was familiar with it. Lonith was tasked with the storm Atronax as it was her speciality. Nurina is working on the frost Atronax, and she is irritated because of something. Jelinar is doing her task on the side, learning how to conjure familiars. She managed to conjure a raven. Back to the irritated Nurina. Her work on the Frost Atronax is really hard. Frost Atronax are very much different than the Storm and Flame types. They are large and physically strong, which made them hard to reshape, unlike the others, which bodies are not that hard. They can be summoned from multiple realms of oblivion, which can be said of the other two types, but they have their own private realms of Infernus and Levenace. Finally, Frost Atronax walk as they are heavy, but the other two can both walk and hover. This made Nurina's work to reshape the Frost Atronax hundreds of times harder than mine and Lonith's work. My work is reshaping the flame Atronax into horses. I was going all out to make kitties, but Nurina stopped me. I swear I'll do it, but later. Lonith is making the storm Atronax into bears and was having no hard time at all. She was indeed an expert with Deidre. To my surprise, we found an article in the documents about two of the historical figures riding them. The first was Empress Hestra, who rode a flame Atronac bareback in the First Era, and the second was freaking Iskrimor himself. He rode a storm Atronac bear. I guess I should have done bear or a saber cat, but I am more familiar with horse. My plan is to make a beautiful Arabian horse flame Atronac. The flame Atronac is the easiest of the three, yet it is the weakest and the lightest. I'm looking more forward to a bigger forms, though. To help Nurina with her dilemma, I suggested that she make the Frost Atronax into a more utility type. It means that she has to reshape its mace-like and blade-like arms into something more useful, such as hands or robotic clutches. She took the idea really well and thought of more uses. She designed a digging arm and went as far as making the Atronac walk on four with a hollowed back. I think that what happens when a genius think. Now it's late at night. Tomorrow is my exam, so I'll just go sleep now. All students taking the exam are to form in this group. Here, please. Mirabelle was organizing everything as usual. Talfdir, Faralda, and many other faces I'm not recognized with are going to oversee the exam. Good to see Skyrim still has such fine younglings. Talfdir said, "Please be at ease. This is not going to be a hard exam. Answer what you can, and we will give you your score on the spot. Depending on that, you will be advanced to the dueling exam, where we teach your energy and spell techniques. This is going to be like this. Truth be said, I'm learning magic for 10 years, so I am not taking this exam seriously." We were arranged in the first floor at the Hall of the Elements. There were many lecture benches around the central Magica focus point, and were given the writing paper. A big scroll was brought, then opened for us to see what was written on it. This is the most basic test of the general knowledge. Faralda said, "Answer it in 2 hours." And she flipped an hourglass. What was written on the scroll is: 1. What is magic? 2. What is the origin of magic? 3. Write about the history of magic. 4. Write about the different forms of the arcane arts. The hell. This is not hard at all, but I think I can feel the people around me shivering. The difficulty is low, but it will take ages to finish it. Let's just write it quickly. First question, let's see. What is magic? That is an easy one. Magic, or magica in the Iliad, Wild Elves, language, is the general term used for the focusing of raw energy into various properties and for various purposes. This raw energy, often referred to as magica, flows from Aetherius, the immortal plane, into Mundus, the mortal plane, by way of the sun and stars, and from it the mundus itself was created. Magica comprises every spirit. It is the energy of all living things and can be harnessed in a variety of ways. Despite thousands of years of study, there is an enormous amount of speculation about how magic is generated, how it might be used by Edra, gods of creation, and Daedra, evil gods or gods of change, and how it might flow between living things. Good answer. Next question, origin of magic. Magnus was the god who designed Mundus during its creation. After it was completed, however, he ordered the project terminated and left for Aetherius at great cost. In doing so, he tore a hole in the veil of oblivion, the realm of Daedra, through which the magica of Aetherius flows into the world. This great rift he left behind is the sun is itself known as Magnus. Soon, other Aetida, general term for all gods, who agreed with Magnus followed his lead, leaving smaller holes which are the stars, through which magica also flows. This is why the stars under which a person is born have such a great influence on that person's fortunes and fate, and why many materials which fall from the heavens have great magical properties. Answer complete. Seriously, how can I believe any of that? Still, I had to write it. Now for the big question, the history of magic. Gah, I hate this part. Some of the first recorded uses of magic were by the Aelids of the First Era. Through the salvaging of fallen fragments of Aetherius, they attained great arcane power, which they used to enslave the early Cyrodiils. With one or two exceptions, wizards of the early First Era were generally solitary, and there was little collaboration beyond the master-apprentice relationship or standardization in magical practices. Until the Second Era and the construction of the Arcane University, the Crystal Tower of Somerset was considered the pinnacle of magical research and learning in Tamriel. Many different magical arts have been developed during Tamrielic history for purposes. What an endless question. Next, forms of the arcane arts? Gun question, but long. Spellcasting. The act of drawing on one's own magica reserves in order to generate some kind of effect in the physical world is called casting a spell. There have been 6 widely accepted schools of spell casting over time, each with a number of spells that pertain to its particular purpose. 1. Destruction harms the target by damaging its health with either elemental or magical attacks, draining and damaging its attributes. 2. Restoration augments the target by restoring or fortifying its attributes, granting it resistances to the elements, magic, disease, paralysis, poison, or curing it as harming the target by absorbing its attributes. 3. Conjuration. Call upon otherworldly entities through telepathy. Conjuration spells augment the caster by granting them Daedric and undead guardians, Daedric gear. 4. Alteration. Alters the physical and magical properties of the target. Alteration spells can, for example, make objects heavier and lighter. 5. Illusion. Illusion spells harm the target by manipulating its mentality and vision. 6. Mysticism is an obscure school, though its spells seem to manipulate magica itself. Due to its spells that bind the target's soul, this school is closely related to necromancy. Mysticism spells augment the target by granting it the ability to detect life, absorb and reflect spells, as well as harm it by dispelling its magical effects and trapping its soul, including the ability to move objects through space with telekinesis. Enchanting. Enchanting is the act of endowing objects with magical properties through the use of a soul, almost always with the use of a soul gem. An enchanted item's power diminishes with use, in which case additional souls may be used to replenish it. The strength of an enchanted item and the amount by which it can be recharged is directly related to the magnitude of the souls used. Alchemy. Alchemy is the act of mixing, boiling, and distilling various substances to obtain their chemomagical properties and create potions and poisons. This is as far as I can go now. Time is up. I was thinking to write about more stuff, but I guess at least I wrote the minimum required. Faralda took all the paper and now I am waiting for them to finish with the score thing. An hour later. This was bad. Why is there such a heavy killing intent being aimed at me? How the hell can anyone score like this? Chapter 50. Let's visit Winterold. Hey, did you hear that? A student in today's exam scored higher than the end score. A boy who answered in a very academic manner. All the teachers are flocking around him. We don't know. Maybe he's someone from Somerset or something. Rumors that he won the King's tournament and eliminated the team of the college. By the 8. A Nord. How can a Nord has a brain for magic, let alone the magic knowledge? Rumors, conversations, secret notes. The first half of the rank-up exam drew a lot of attention. The scores paper was John Dare, 60/40. Lameth, 30/40ths. Niliana, 30/40ths. Mosker, 29/40ths. I think I wrote a bit too much. When I ran for Faralda to ask her about what happened, she said that my third answer contained a number of events argued about in the history, and my second answer is considered a scholar-level knowledge. In my last answer, where I wrote about the practices of magic, I also added some small notes about the Thursdayum, necromancy, and Shi-Hai, the sword singing. I think I overdid it. Anyway, I found myself being asked about many stuff from all the scholars around. What saved me was Faralda glares at them. Now I was sitting away, trying not to do anything weird, only to hear people talking and talking about me more and more. The three who came behind me in the score were sitting together and giving me cold glares. An Altmare boy, a Bossmare girl, and a Casia boy. Not like I even care. For some reason, another faces started to appear as if they came to watch. The casting exam will start now. Teacher Mirabelle announced the next exam. Okay, let's not make a scene this time. John Dare. Damn it. Why am I the first? Stand there and cast what you were told to cast. Faralda is the one testing me. First award. I cast the normal, steadfast ward. Faralda casts a firebolt at me, and my war negates it. A channeling destruction spell. I cast sparks this time, and Faralda received it easily. A bolt restoration spell. That's easy. Sunfire is the spell I need. Conjure to your limits. Now, wait a minute. This will be scary. Faralda looks at me and says it again. I conjured 5 familiars, all cats. You pass. Tolfter claps and ends my dilemma saying that. I think I was going to look scary if I was asked to make a blast spell or higher. I walked away from the stage for the others to get tested. After filling the form I had to do for my ranking up, I received a new key and a new apprentice robes, exchanging it with the old one. Now, let's head out directly to New Renus. Not so fast. A voice called for me after the gate of the tower. A problem. I didn't like the voice or the Altmare who spoke. Not all. I don't know who are you or where do you came from, but good to see a new face around. The Altmare boy said, I am Ort Horn. My team is a research team, which can be called the best team in the college if you... The best team, huh? Before I retort, someone else did. A Breton girl, it seemed. I can call your team a bunch of thieves, and you won't even retort to the fact. Mind your business, Nyrenal. This my business, too. My team is a team of elite apprentices. We're the team that does all the real work around here. I'll pass. I think it will be a headache to get myself into student fights now. Nyrenal looks at me as if I denied the mercy of Mara. Orthorn, on the other hand, smiled slyly. How sad. The apprentice rooms have people with all sorts of attitudes. It will be sad if you don't have someone to watch you back. He said, a threat. And a bullying threat at that. Double crime. I know only one way to deal with a bully. A low blow. You bastard. Now his appearance is just perfect. Hey, what are you doing? Nyrenal jumped back from my sudden move. If you don't have anything to say, then scram. I'll deal with this trash myself. She looked at me, then turned away on the spot. Smart girl. This attitude of yours in Rift Inn will bring you a nice resting spot at the bottom of a canal, I said as I looked down on the crouching elf. Next time I feel something is wrong around me, I'll come and find with you. Don't let me see you around too. He was immersed in pain, but he heard me well. I grew up in Riften, so bullying was something I grew up with. I always respond this way to it. Leaving the elf in pain alone, I headed directly to the Hall of Countenance. I still have a spell to finish. Who opened the door to me was a sleepy-looking Jelliner. This was still early in the morning after all. This is the key to my new room. Remember to move our stuff there. Giving her the key was a way of showing trust. This girl tends to get moved easily by anything like that. How was your exam? Loneth asked me. The first. Good. Make sure to join a good team. Make some friends and have fun. What a kind lady this Laneth. Nerina would say something like, well, if you can't be the first, what is the point of me teaching you anything? That. Sigh. Hurry up and finish the spell. We will start the application now. Nerina is still in a grumpy mood from working on the Frost Atronax. I have already finished the spell before the exam, so I have no problem going now. Holding the final product in my hand, I checked the steps one by one and started preparing the cast. Casting a spell for the first time is like learning how to walk all over again. The process is slow at first, but will improve with practice. After getting the hang of the steps, I ready myself for the final call. Conjuration requires a telepathic signal between the souls. That's why conjuration is always associated with soul magic and necromancy. As the link gets established, I transmit the shape with the effects I learned from the research papers. Atronax are beings with souls and ego. They're less tricky than the other Daedra, but their mental capabilities are simple. Reshaping them was a lost magic, but now I am doing it. How many Atromancers would kill for this magic? After getting everything done, I cast the call mark on the ground in front of me. All that is left is for the Atronac to answer the call and open a passage for itself to come from oblivion to Mundus. Some people may think that conjuration is a space magic or something similar, but the reality is tough. It's all about making a guide for a Daedric being and relying on its initial ability to warp the void between realms while bounding it to the caster. As the mark was put, the void started to warp, and a being of fire emerged from it. For the void to disperse, it is a no long wait, but the anticipation made it seem longer. The head appeared, followed by the rest of the body. My oh my! Nerina, who was ready to cast the Banished Daedra spell any time, exclaimed at what she saw. While I was racking my brain around these past days was that form. I wanted to create a more beautiful horse than the ones around Skyrim. The horses here are hateful in my opinion. I really hate how bulky and ugly they are. I know that they fit the climate and the nature of Skyrim and all of that. But look at this. This is how a horse should look like, ladies and gentlemen. Finely svelte body structure, concave profile, arched neck, comparatively level croup, high carried tail. Even the horns of the normal Atronac took a nice form over the head. The body is made of fire and volcanic stones that formed into a nice pattern of curves and shapes only added to the overall beauty of the horse. What more can I say? It made any other horses around here look like a bunch of sad potatoes. You might ask, is that immersive? Why would I care? It's a beauty. What kind of horse is that? Loneth asked. Something from my past life. Past what now? Ignore that part. Nerina's and Joel's voices overlapped. Do you have a saddle around here? Why would I have one? Also, you need a saddle that can resist fire. Nerina said, just try commanding it around for now. That was easy. The room was vast, so making it move was no problem. The behavior resemblance of a real horse was installed by the process of the spell, but it had no temperament of a real horse. Still, I want to test the speed, but that will be for later. After a while, Loneth conjured a storm Atronac bear. It looked fearsome compared to the beauty of my horse. It had a big body that reassembled a real bear, but its shape was a bit too alien. Storm Atronacs are made of gray stones with lightning power, putting them together into a humanoid shape. Sometimes it has legs, and sometimes it hovers with no legs. The Atronac bear looks like that. It looks as if someone put some stones together until it resembled a bear and linked them with lightning. Unlike my horse that was made mainly for riding, The bear can fight and cast spells. Finally, Nurina conjured the frost Atronax with normal hands. It resembled the one from Tessiv, Oblivion. Practicing was not easy as we had to banish them, then conjure them back. I also added the frost Atronax to my arsenal and learned how to conjure it. Still, I am proud of the fire horse. I think I can ride it with no saddle if I use Fireskin spell, a variation of Stone Skin that protects mainly against fire. Okay, let's do that then. I'm going to Winterhold. Back at the entrance again after a week of crossing the college's bridge. I kind of hate that bridge. Some sort of trauma I had since my first try of the game. Going somewhere, a scary deep voice returned me back to the present. I jumped away scared of what kind of creature may cause such a vocal attack. Morbagog, don't speak before I ready myself, damn it. Ha ha. Sorry, I forgot. He was laughing as if nothing happened. Where are you going? I'm going to look for a stable in Winterhold. A stable? That's at the other end of town. Come, I know the place. Morbagog walks ahead to the gate that opened itself smoothly. I want to study that gate at some point. Walking this bridge is a hairy experience, but I finally get myself to its end. God, I miss the fast travel. Winterhold. Ruins of wood and snow, just as the game, but the damage here is massive and saddening to watch. There were some intact houses, some other looked new. People were trying to live anyway. What is your business here anyway? I asked Morbagog. Snowberries. They at least sell that here. So, how can I get to that stable? I'll take you there first, then we'll go buy the snowberries from the inn. No problem with me. A few minutes later, we reached the stables. The road was along the town, as there was a mountain on our right side. Some houses were there, and also a big longhouse. The longhouse is a Nordic-style mead hall that the Jarl lives in. Normally, a Jarl lives in a castle, but that isn't the case for Jarl career as his hold is in no shape. I'm not a man of politics or governing, but I can think of 100 ways to develop such a broken town. For this town to be in that shape for 74 years is a complete waste of time and resources. Gotta admit, the locals weren't friendly at all. Some even hid their children in their homes from the big bad mages. Everything looked poor and miserable. I arrived at the stable with Morbagog, who called for a stable boy, yet his voice scared even the horses. This guy has embraced his voice completely. Negotiating a price was easy as I was loaded with money since my visit to Solitude. Now, I have the saddle and the reins. The only thing left was to enchant them. As I followed Morbagog to the inn, I decided to just finish my business here. The Frozen Hearth Inn was the place that can openly deal with mages in Winterhold. One could say it is the neutral ground in the town. The inn was warm and cozy, and there's a bar too. I'll do my business, so you sit somewhere and order us some meat. Morbagog said and headed in. I chose a table in a dark corner so no one can see what I do. Putting the saddle and the reins on the table, I took out an expensive-looking sack. As I untied it, what appeared inside was a troll's skull, 5 candles, and a glass vase filled with bone meal. Now let's get to work. First, draw a star in a circle and add all the runes around it. Second, position the candles at every end of the star and the skull between any 2 candles. Now it's time. I took the reins and placed them on the circle, then took out a common soul gem and put it beside it. After lighting the candles, I consecrated on making a simple spell with one effect and one aspect. The effect was resist, and the aspect was flame. After forming the simple spell, I cast it on the skull that transferred it to the circle. After a while, the soul gem's colors started to dim and it broke. This meant success. Using the detect spell confirmed my success. After that, I repeated the process with the saddle. Nothing out of the norm happened. This is going to be fun. After packing everything back, I called the tavern girl. May I bring you some? Oh, hallucinations after a long day of work are normal, but that's so vivid. Isn't that Alishka? Chapter 51, Whistling Mine. Ilishka, that girl with a sinful body from Solitude Bathhouse. In Winterhold, I remember she was going to get married and settle in her hometown. Oh, what an interesting fate. So she is from here. And seeing how her face got pale when she saw me only means she is panicking. If I knew she was here, I would have pretended that I don't know her, but we lag to each other now. Sigh, how awkward. May I get 2 bottles of mead? Normal nor mead. Yes. Anything else? Thank you. She is a married woman now. She may be the first woman I slept with in this life, but I must know my boundaries. After a minute, she brought the mead. Morbagog came after buying his stuff. Hey, Morbagog bro, is there any establishment like a bathhouse in Winterhold? He looked at me, and it seemed he did get the meaning. Don't you like the bath in our dorm? We bring water from the sea and treat it with magic. What can a normal bathhouse offer? This guy is an innocent person. Too bad he may get influenced by me. Or there's already a Lyle, but it's a wonder this guy is taking everything on goodwill. You know, bathhouses offer some sort of companionship. HM, what do you mean? Dude, bath wenches, I mean. He seemed to have finally got the hint. What are bath wenches? Or not? Get closer and don't utter a single word. He got closer, and I started explaining to him. He was exclaiming with and wah. So things like that happen in bathhouses. Yes. No, Winterhold has no such thing. I heard of some boys and girls hanging out in the midden, but it normally ended in scandals. This is sad. The midden is the underground and the underworld of the college. All sorts of unauthorized stuff happen there. You'll find traces of undead, dark rituals, or a dead student. It's the danger zone of the college. So no one in the college can practice the private needs this easily, huh? Well, yeah, this is going to be tough. After this, we drag from conversation to another. From Morbagog, I learn about the boy I hit this morning. Apparently, he is a big pain and problematic person. He was involved with some accidents, but there was no dust on him. He made a team of many members and stolen a lot of researches from the other teams. He mostly enjoys it. What about that Nyrenal? Ordhorn and Nyrenal on the same day? I don't know how to react to that. Nyrenal is the opposite kind of pain. She is convinced that she is some sort of elite. Ordhorn knows that he breaks the rules, but Nyrenal doesn't even recognize them. She may do anything to acquire power or knowledge. Good grief. Idiots are really everywhere. Not that I am complaining. Idiocy is a cosmic law. Seeing this kind of people reminds me of my past life. I had a boss and a senior who were that idiotic. I am a rebel by nature, but when it comes to money, I think I was disadvantaged at that time. Sigh. Don't look disheartened. At least you have a background. How do you know about my background? In the college, there are hardly any secrets. And you, my friend, is the hottest topic today. I knew this would happen. Sigh. Couldn't help but sink into my chair and feel depressed, praying that the world may give me a break. Yet how can this world answer to a non-believer like me? Accidents always happen. What is that noise? An impatron raised a question as there was some noise from outside. A dragon attack. No, still 4 years early for that. What is it this time? I asked, and Morbagog went out to ask. I am too lazy to care. A collapse in Whistling Mine. A collapse in a mine. That didn't happen in the game before. I guess this is the price of an immersive world. People went into an uproar. Seems like it is not a usual event. Let's ask the Jarl for help. We need to get to the mine first. Gods, how did this happen? The people started running around trying to do something. Whistling Mine, if I remember, is the smallest mine in the game. Basically, some landmark to fill an empty, barren road of snow. The interior in the game was small and icy with only 2 iron veins. Morbagog, what are the details? A boy came running all the way from the mine to here. He said something about the mine collapsing and people trapped inside. The Jarl is questioning the boy. How far is the mine? If what I heard is correct, a day and a night walk. The boy ran from there to here. He seemed to be the mine guard. This is amazing. Even I can't run for a full day. Look, John, the college doesn't want us to interfere with the locals, so let's just keep to ourselves. I know, but I don't know how to think about this. Let's just see how the Jarl will react. I said and headed outside, carrying my stuff. The people were standing around the entrance of the longhouse, and Jarl Career appeared to be giving a speech. Folk, we will deal with this. I'll send whatever guards I can, and everything will be fine, back to your business or whatever. Career spoke half-heartedly and dispatched 20 guards. Only 20. On foot, not going yourself. The townsfolk's faces took all colors, black from disappointment, yellow from shock, pale from fear, red from crying. The guard was a boy donned in the usual game's armor, yet it covered more than the game, of course. Some purses on his face, as he seemed to have suffered from the damage himself. Who was tending to him on the side were two women, one of them was Alishka. I somewhat was considered, so I went to their direction. And as if she sensed me, Alishka tried not to look at me directly. Hey, mind if I help? I am a healer. As if my help was not expected, some people eyed me with strange eyes. The guard boy looked at me, and his eyes lit. It's you. You know me? I do. I was in the tournament, too. You are the champion. Oh, he is not the participant, so I guess he was just a helper. Get healed now, talk later. I evoked healing and channeled it on him. Tell me what happened. I whispered to him. He looked around and nodded. It seemed that his name was Trudvar, and last night he was on duty and there was some night shift. As he heard something heavy falling, he ran inside. The mine owner was not hurt, but it seemed that some other miners were inside the tunnel that collapsed, and now they're trapped inside. Also, the tunnel was a new one, and some of the miners were new workers. The people outside have supplies? Did the guards take any? They looked around, but it seemed the answer was no. The guards were dispatched hurriedly with no leadership, and the mine lost most of the supplies under the rubble. Some names were said that made Alishka sob. From what I understood, she managed to get some homeless girls an opportunity to work in the mine. The sun is setting, so the people under the tunnel have at least one more day. I said, normally people can stay under rubble for 2 days. Bring me some food in a sack. Behind the inn, I'll go after them. Alishka heard and nodded. I then left Morbagog with a message to Nurina or Lonith. Thank you for helping us. Please save those girls. Alishka was making a sad face behind the inn. There was no one else, so she talked to me. I'll do what I can. I took the sack and tied it to my back. I also want to speak with you about something if you don't mind. Alishka stiffened from what I said. Actually, I have no ill intention or anything. Relax, nothing of the sort. I just want some information. I said, I'll go bring those girls. As I said that, I evoked the spell, and I wanted to use, and here it is, my beautiful fire mare. Alishka sure took the shock head on. Hee, witness how awesome the horses can be. Now, let's put the saddle and the reins, which were enchanted to resist fire. Can't wait. As I jump on it for the first time, I get the feeling of how cool it is to be on such a beautiful creature. Now, let's move ahead, slowly at first. Amazing. Even though it has no temperament of a horse, it has the same normal movement. Finally on the road. Let's see how fast it can go now. Okay, buddy. It's you and me now. Give me everything. The horse wouldn't move from just these words. It still needed my direct command by magic. I cast Flame Skin just in case. It's a different variation of stone skin, but protects against fire with some physical armor. Now, I am ready. Now from 0 to 60. Let's... Why, That's amazing. Let's just admit it. It was awkward in the beginning. I didn't imagine that the fire mare may possess this speed. It's just ridiculous. I have seen its performance when Yeso, but that game didn't give it any justice. Maybe the reason is me. I didn't design any offensive features to this shape and made it just for beauty and speed. This thing is fast to the point that I'm not sure if that is still called galloping. This is madness on 4. I'll just ask Joel to write a poem about it later. I was supplying it with magicka from time to time, so it doesn't get dispelled. The effect transfer is something I just learned to open the spell magicka transfer so I can keep the horse from running out of energy. Atronax, unlike the game, had no time limit. They had energy limit. If it got depleted, then the Atronac will go back to oblivion. With this spell, I can make it last as much as I can. I was also thinking of casting Accelerate on it, but that was a scary idea. Accelerate is haste and long stride. I'll post John's spell at the end of the chapter past on the latest edit. I've already run past the guards and gave them a scare. These idiots were taking it easy. After 2 hours of non-stop riding at a fast speed, I killed a bear that thankfully not a big one. In reality, bears are something I ate only once, and I would do anything to eat it again. But all I could do was to just leave it all behind with a broken heart. The mine was not that far after that. I saw a man standing with a torch on the road, so I guessed he is a miner from his appearance. Traveler, by the 9, what are you riding? I am from the college. Is the mine close by? Wah. Yes, it is over there. Did they just send one man? There is more. Show me to the collapse. The man nodded and ran ahead as I followed him. Upon entering the mine, the first chamber seemed to serve as a camp, but rubble took most of it down. To the west is an ice tunnel that leads to a second chamber where the collapse happened. Some big rocks were blocking the way, and 2 men are trying to remove them. Move aside, please. They looked at me not knowing how to react, but the man told them to move. I evoked 2 spells, then cast them. 2 bulky frost Atronak appeared. One was a minor Atronak with 2 spikes as arms and was a hands Atronak. Now carefully, let's start the rescue. John's spells. Hashtag mysticism. Magicka, outer control. Manipulation. Dispel, drain. Absorb. Extrasensory perception. Material. Magicka. Soul. Trap. Necromancy. Reanimate. Supply undead. Divination. Alarm. Clairvoyance. Time. Accelerate. Underscore. Hashtag alteration. Mass. Burden. Feather. Featherfall. Body. Stone skin. Flame skin. Hashtag conjuration. Control summon. Command. Banish. Supply Deidre. Bound. Unbound. Bound weapon. Sword. Dagger. Battle axe. Conjure familiar. Mouse. Cat. Falcon. Owl. Wolf. Conjure undead. Ghost. Bowman. Conjure Atronak. Flame. Normal. Horse. Frost. Normal. Utility. Hashtag destruction. Flame. Flames. Firebolt. Fire rune. Fireball. Shock. Sparks. Lightning bolt. Lightning rune. Chain lightning. Lightning cloak. Hashtag illusion. Light. Candlelight. Mind. Courage. Fury. Calm. Fear. Sound. Muffle. Hashtag restoration. Health. Healing. Cure disease. Ward. Steadfast ward. Quadrant ward. Anti-undead. Sunrace. Sunfire. Sun rune. Anti-living. Drain vitality. Hashtag powers. Racial. Warcry. Buff allies, scare foes. Son of Skyrim. 50% resist frost. Shadowstone. Hide in shadows. Sneak buff. Blue. Combat speed buff. Inborn. Resi's fire. Hashtag Thursdayum. Unrelenting force. Fussrow. Spell from one aspect vertically are based on rank. Easy or above. Hard or below. Chapter 52. Winterhold Dilemma. The process was not easy. I had to detect any aura behind or under the rubble before moving anything. The Atronax moved the rubble, but I had to send a mouse familiar to check for any survivors before moving anything. Time passed. and I started running low on juice. But most of the rubble was moved already. Thankfully, I started feeling a lot of magicar reactions behind the rubble. I could make a guess how far was left and started putting more power in work. It is a good training for supplying energy and controlling summons. Still, I could foresee a lot of energy will go on healing. Not that I am complaining. Finally, and after 3 hours of digging, I reached the end of the tunnel, and the people inside started hearing the outside. Making sure that everything was okay in there, I told them to move back as far as they can and commanded the Atronax to go all out. I didn't even go into the tunnel, as another collapse may happen, but the work was done. The tunnel was clear, and the people inside rushed out. One thing I noticed that there were many young people. From what I heard before, this mine was one of the few sources of income besides fishing and hunting. There are few people who worked in lumber, but few trees grew in the hold to begin with. I could understand why the people were shocked when an incident happened. While I couldn't understand why the Jarl took the matter indifferently. I'm also not sure if I asked around or not. As the miners were out of the mine's inner chamber, I banished the Atronax away and readied myself for the healing process. Broken bones, torn muscles, dislocations. I could say my knowledge of healing was enriched with all this work. What I noticed, however, was that the next day has already come, and no guards yet. Haha, this hold is so done for. The food I brought was already eaten, and no one was in any critical stage now. Looking around the mine for a while, I noticed something at the area of the collapse. It was something that blended nicely with the ice around it, but it gave a colorful shine when the light fell on it. I wanted to touch it, but the area was a bit risky. Oldman, can you come here, please? The mine owner heard and came running. How can I help you, Sir Mage? Is that an ore? That's a crystal-like ore that we discovered here. It breaks easily, so we don't think highly of it. I'm guessing something. Do you have a sample? Yes, there is one right here. The man went to the side and brought a crystal. Here, I was right. It's a soul gem. That is a geode crystal vein. Strange. These veins are rare and only can be found in large Dwemer runes like Blackreach. I like to buy these crystals, old man. Anything you mine from it, sell it to me. The area quieted down for a while. Even the miners who were in pain stopped making noises. All of it, the old man asked. As long as I can buy it. Haha. These people smelled coin and started to look excited for some reason. Could it be something of value, Sir Mage? Oh, this might make the chance go. I approached the old man and whispered to him. This is a crystal for rituals. If the Jarl knows of it, he may close the mine. This thing can only be utilized by mages, and it has little value as an ore. If you meet me at the Frozen Hearth, I'll offer you a good price for supplying it. This was a good deal, actually, and the man understood that. Uncle Delvin taught me that the best deals are the ones when you and your contractor are holding daggers at each other. I can pay him, and he will keep me stocked with empty soul gems, but other mages can't know about it. If he supplied another mage, I will destroy his business by ratting him out to the Jarl. I smell the rotten sewers of Riften this far already. After giving the man a brief summary of the soul gems and checking on the miners, I left the mine with a wide grin. And look who it is. The 20-man rescue party are making an appearance. Let's give them another scare. Conjuring another fire mare was no problem. I wanted to give it wings, but let's leave that when I am able to conjure a higher quality Atronax. Hiya! The shouting would affect, as usual, but it gave the required sound effect. And as expected, the guards ran out of the road again. I'll take the journey easy and enjoy the view of ice and snow in the morning. Heading north back to the town, a mountain was on my left. Looking up at it, I couldn't help but smile. An incredibly large monument was built and could be seen miles away. This was the Shrine of Azura, a powerful Daedric prince and the Lady of Twilight. I think I'll visit it soon, very soon. I went into Winterhold riding on the fire mare, not caring about anything. Some people actually started hiding. Yes, run from the bad mage. Sigh, this town is hopeless. The frozen hearth was right on the corner, so I banished the horse and went there. The place was a bit empty. Only a few patrons and the innkeeper. You are that mage that went to aid the guards. How come you are here so fast? A middle-aged woman asked me. From her appearance and the baby she was carrying, I guessed that is Heron, an NPC and the wife of the innkeeper. I reached there before them and finished the rescue, healing, and everything. They barely arrived before I come out of the mine. Not humble at all. I am planning to take full credit with benefits from the Jarl, if I can. By the 9, did you make it there and back in half a day? I made a gesture with my hands as if I am explaining something and said, magic. Thank you, Sir Mage. May the gods watch over your path, said the innkeeper, who was a blond, middle-aged man called Dager. Right in, keep. The food I took yesterday is still unpaid for. How can we ask for such a thing? This was for the rescue. Now the girl Alishka can stop crying. Finally mentioned her. Still, why did his wife make a stiffened face when he said her name? Sigh. What a tiresome world. Can I see that Alishka, please? Yes. Woman, go wake her up. I think I don't have to bother about husband and wife for now. I sat at some place on the side and ordered food from Dager until Alishka comes. And here she is. Are the girls safe, Sir Mage? Everyone made it alive and smiling. No thanks to any guard. Thank you, sir, truly. She looked relieved. Her big eyes, rounded face, and sinful body make people mistake her age for older, but I remember Xena, another bathhouse girl, telling me that she isn't 30 yet. What is the story with these girls? I asked. There are some girls who grew up in the town, some whose family perished or their sole relatives ran from Winterhold. So you helped them find a job in the mine? The old man, there's a good patron, and he used to be a friend to Pa years ago. He is indeed not a bad person. He also was not the mine owner from the game. Xena told me you would go to your hometown to get married. Alishka exclaimed and made a smile that carried some self-mockery. That indeed was the plan. And I was planning to rebuild my old house and get married to a boy I used to know, but the house wasn't built and the man ran away years ago. I was actually asking about her life so I can show friendliness and ask her about something else, but the conversation went to a wrong direction. So you'll just stay here? Not going back to solitude? Pa and Ma are buried here. I'll just stay. And I don't have the money to go anywhere anymore. Her face was stiff, and she was looking away with no expressions at all. This conversation is not going anywhere good. Sorry about that. It's okay, Sir Mage. We owe you a great debt today, and we will pay it any way you wish. We? She didn't say I. What a turn down. Not that I care anyway. Fine. As I said that I evoked a spell and cast it on myself, this was a circle spell. In the game, they appear with a halo around the caster, but in real life, it just affects how wide the caster wants. This was a muffle spell that makes no one outside the circle listen to what's in. Alishka saw the spell and was confused. Now no one can hear us, I said, showing no expressions. Alishka seemed to get worried, so I'll just go straight into the subject. Now tell me everything, all you know about Winterhold. Winterhold, once a capital of Skyrim, and now is nothing but a town even smaller than some places I visited in my travel. Its history goes back to the Second Era, as much as the college itself. Some said that Shalater built it alongside the college, but there is no historical proof about that. Now in this day and age, the total population of the hold itself doesn't exceed 3,000 in small villages and isolated areas. Career the Jarl is an anti-magic fanatic on the surface, but the truth is far greater. These few thousands are oppressed by him for his personal gain. The guards he recruited are akin to his watchdogs, and there are 300 of them. Sometimes he hire people from outside the hold. He have a very profitable business going on. It's called the Chill, known from the game as the strangest prison in Skyrim, yet was easy to break out from. Despite the Jarl's Anti-Magic Act, he hired a dark elf called Malar Seloth to keep the Chill guard with Frost Guardians, which are basically Frost Atranax, but they stay their ground and attack anything on sight, except what the caster mark is safe. The Chill itself is a cave located on a big island north-northeast of the College of Winterhold. The island is rich with minerals. From the game, I remember it as gold, silver, iron, and corundum veins. The island also was inhabited with a big variety of wild animals, making it into a good place for hunting. The prisoners of the Chill were Career's personal slaves. Unlike the game, the place was only accessible by a boat. Even if escaping the Chill was easy, good luck swimming. Career was just a tyranny, and he just hated how can he not influence the college. I lived in the Middle East and saw the same sort of tyrannies. Still, I don't know how can Career just stay without any supervision from the High King. How can the so-called hero Ulfric accept him as an ally? Elishka was a bit intimidated by magic like most Nords, so she spilled the beans quickly. What I also discovered that she got intimidated by the Jarl that he wouldn't sell her back her old house if she didn't pay the taxes of the 5 years she left the town for, as well as additional fees to retrieve her house. That left her with a little money to do any rebuilding after that. So what is the usual business normal people can do in this hole? Lumber, but we have no mill. Hunting and fishing are a bit better. Last thing is the old whistling mine. Why is it called whistling mine? It whistles, she said as if it's something natural. So, a mine that whistles, hunting and fishing, then the lumber business with no mill. There is also some building crew, but no one really builds anything. Damn, if I sum this up, then we already have everything to start from the Dark Age in an Age of Empires game. This was truly something that I found funny in this godforsaken town. I don't understand. Nah, just something from my past life. Past life? Have I told you about the dragons before? I went back to the college and made my preparations. I gave Elishka some tasks and told her to finish them for me, and she will get paid. I have an interesting business idea at last. It all came around nicely. Now, let's take over Winterhold. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.